Miato a gangwagaka. Obede, the Vika Blagamakanya gown. Mr. Goma, Benjamin Akapu Weasel.
Yeah, I'm watching you. Yeah, that must say I no pay. Makanya ho. Yeah, better change come. Afa o man ya your friend na Ghana ho. Or per se, or the fumimu. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm saying you're trying to surprise me. Or per se or the fumimu. One can't tell me say oh be ube bube.
Well, say Ghana man. Ghana man, they talk send you what more than ni what we what yes what more than check or be more koni what many men I can relate. Now I know I'm butchering it, but folks, welcome aboard the AM show, and let's tell you what we have in store for you. So, Benjamin.
Okay. I mean, if you want me to usher in, we'll start with the news, of course, and then get into the news review. Three guests join us, three stalwarts. I'm talking about Andy Apiadankwa, spokesman for the Movement for Change. He's one of the spokespersons. Professor Isaac Bwedi is Dean of Accounting and Finance at the UPSA. And then Osei Kofi Akwa is with the Communications Directorate of the CPP. All of them will join us for that belt. And then we segue from there into our big stories.
And for our big stories this morning, we'll be looking at that new appointment that I'm sure you caught your attention last night. President John Dramani Mahama has appointed COP Yohunu as new IGP. We'll take a look at the work of George Ekufu Dampare, the man many tout as having brought a revolution to the police service, and what the future holds for the police service with this new appointment.
We'll also take a look at how stand-up comedy has evolved from a simple slapstick humor, like we've seen in other parts of the world, to a thriving industry in Ghana. We'll look at the ups and downs, the good and the bad, the positives and the negatives. And of course, later on the show, I'll also be sharing with you my blunt thoughts. Trust me, you don't want to miss that today. And then Noella Karinyale will serve you E-Corner. All of these on the chopping board for you to enjoy this morning.
Folks, welcome aboard the AM show. We start now with the AM news. Welcome aboard. This is the AM News, and let's start now because in a major shake-up in the police hierarchy, President John Dramani Mahama has replaced IGP Dr. George Ekufu Dampare with COP Christian Yohunu. Dr. Dampare's tenure, marked by both commendation and controversy, has fueled widespread speculation about his departure in the past few days. But the presidency cites constitutional provisions announcing that COP Christian Yohunu is expected to drive the modernization and transformation of the Ghana Police Service. Minister for Government Communications, Felix Kwachifosu, says the new IGP will be sworn in later on today. On your screens is the statement that was produced to make this announcement, and it reads that, and this is coming from the Office of the President, President John Dramani Mahama has, in accordance with Articles 91 and 202 of the 1992 Constitution, and in consultation with the Council of State, appointed Commissioner of Police Christian Tete Yohunu as the Inspector General of Police. He replaces COP Dr. George Ekufu Dampare, and of course COP Yohunu, they say, brings 40 years of experience to the position of IGP and is expected to oversee the modernization and transformation of the Ghana Police Service. Away from that, the Education Review Committee set up by President John Dramani Mahama is set to present its report to the President by March 28th. The 8-member committee, led by former Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor George Odro, has been tasked to consult stakeholders in the educational sector and come out with recommendations to reform Ghana's education system. The committee at its validation forum has revealed that the final report should be presented to the President by the end of the month. James Aveji has more.
The National Education Consultative Forum has brought to a close its work here at the University of Professional Studies in Accra. Now, weeks ago, President John Dramani Mahama put this 8-member committee together, led by Professor George Odro, to hold a National Education Forum across the country and come out with some recommendations on how government could reform, or if you like, reset the educational sector. We caught up with a chairman of the committee, Professor Odro, who indicates that most of the stakeholders are pushing for some key issues, especially apparent government funding of the free SHS.
Majority think that there should be a review. Boarding fees should be paid by parents. That's some view. Now, one view that came out strongly, which was very interesting, was that government should introduce lunch for both day students and boarding students, and then breakfast and dinner, parents should pay for that.
So when will President John Dramani Mahama receive the final document from your committee?
Hopefully, by 28th of March, we would have finished with the final report.
The Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, has just revealed that government has plans of immediately operationalizing the National Research Fund.
Let me also assure that Excellency John Dramani Mahama will this year effectively operationalize the National Research Fund. It would be functional and it will work. I've requested the Ghana Education Trust Fund to make seed money available in the formula of the fund for the 2025 year.
The Vice President of the Republic, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, has also been given the firm assurance that the John Dramani Mahama government will leave no stone unturned as far as the implementation of these recommendations are concerned.
And I wish to assure you, members of the committee and all of us, that your recommendations will not gather dust on the shelf. Your report will be the foundation upon our educational policies, upon which our educational policies will be shaped and implemented to build an inclusive, equitable, transformative education system for Ghana and for the benefit of all Ghanaians regardless.
So far as we know, by March 28, the committee should present its final working document to President John Dramani Mahama. From the UPSA here in Accra, my name is James Savaji, reporting for Joy News.
In other stories, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has dismissed allegations of secretly imposing a district chief executive for Nadoli Kalio, calling them baseless and malicious. He criticized the claims made by the Nadoli Kalio constituency members as ignorant of the appointment process. The Speaker has threatened legal action against those behind the defamatory press conference unless they offer an unqualified apology.
The press statement, signed and read by the Nadolo Kalio constituency organizer, Frederick Keninge, the group expressed outrage over what they claimed to be an attempt by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sommana Kingsford Bagbin, to impose a candidate who did not make it onto the final list of three shortlisted nominees. According to the statement, the Regional Vetting Committee had followed the process in selecting qualified candidates based on commitment to the party, knowledge of local governance, and grassroots support. However, the group alleged that some individuals, including the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sommana Kingsford Bagbin, are trying to override this process for personal interest. The statement describes the interference as direct attack on democracy and warns that such actions could destabilize the peace and unity of the constituency.
We demand that the Extreme Vetting Committee ignore any form of influence peddling and elite gangsterism and ensure that fairness, justice, and due process prevail in the vetting process.
The statement concludes with a strong warning that any manipulation of the process will not be tolerated and could have dire consequences for the party unity in the district.
We are happy for the three. Allow the three names shortlisted to national to go through the vetting process at national. Whoever among them comes out as our DC, we have no problem, we have no complaints. But to get some people outside that, the constituents will revoke and act and resist and reject anything aside the three names.
When we contacted Speaker of Parliament, Albanso Manakins Portbabwin, on the allegation, this was his response through WhatsApp. I am not involved in the process of appointing MMDCEs. I have not recommended any person for the position of MMDCE or government appointee to the assemblies. This claim is as vicious as it is baseless. Such a press conference can only be held by ignorant people. A DCE is selected through a process by the party who wins the national general elections recommended by the president to the district assembly and elected by the assembly constituted as the electoral college. The president then follows up with a letter of appointment for administrative reasons. How can I impose a DCE on the Nodulukeleo district? Speaker Alban Baben warned that the people who organized, wrote, or read a press statement at a press conference, especially the constituency organizer, Frederick Keninge, the sponsors and supporters of the defamatory press conference, better render an unqualified apology to me, I will take serious action against all of them to vindicate my rights. Enough of the character assassination, he concluded. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Nadoli.
To commemorate World Kidney Day, the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, in collaboration with TW Radio, organized a health walk in Cape Coast to create awareness on kidney disease, its causes and prevention. During the walk, the head of the dialysis unit of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital and physician specialist, Dr. Evans McCready, indicated that Cape Coast has recorded a high number of kidney disease cases, adding that newer reports are of younger people with no history of major health issues. Abigail Nkrumah has more in this report.
Sharing some statistics regarding chronic kidney disease, the head of the dialysis unit at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital and physician specialist, Dr. Evans McCready, highlighted some causes of the condition, indicating Cape Coast has recorded a high number of chronic kidney disease cases.
When it comes to Ghana, the figure is still about 13%. And in Cape Coast, we see a lot of patients with chronic kidney disease. In a year, when you go to the renal clinic, we have over 2,000 people attending the renal clinic in a year. And in the same, when you come to the dialysis sessions, in a month, we can have over 250 people coming to 250 sessions of dialysis per month. So a day, we have about 16 to 20 people coming to have dialysis. And these people are those who are at the end of the kidney disease. So they are what we call end-stage kidney disease. So we have a high prevalence of chronic kidney disease in Cape Coast and into the extent the whole country. The main risk causes we've identified as cause for chronic disease here is mainly hypertension and diabetes. There's been previous studies which has done which show that hypertension and diabetes are the commonest causes here. Of late, we've ended up having some young patients with no hypertension or no background diabetes also coming with chronic kidney disease. And we suspect those people might be exposed to maybe some chemicals or stuffs in the water, etc., which might be contributing to the increase in chronic kidney disease, especially in the younger generation.
Thomas Khan, a dialysis patient and kidney health advocate who organized the health walk, shared his hopes for the Mahama Cares initiative and appealed to government and the NHIA to establish more dialysis centers.
We recently heard of government intentions to cater for kidney disease and cancer and stuff like that under the Mahama Care. We are very hopeful and we are trusting that the Mahama Care would come through for us as patients and make sure that some of these concerns are addressed. And again, when you go to the various facilities, the dialysis machines, they are not enough. We know that there are some of them that we hear have been procured by the NHIS. but we are praying that and hoping that they fix them very soon.
The PRO of the hospital, Frederick Nyanka, acknowledged the interventions of government and encouraged the public to undertake regular kidney checks, as the treatment for kidney disease is expensive and time-consuming.
Well, so we would like to let the general public know that treatment of dialysis is not only about the costs. You go through a lot of psychological trauma and other stuff. For example, you are supposed to sit on the machine for 4 hours. So assuming you come and someone just started and you are next, it means you wait for the next 4 hours and then you will take over. You are spending 8 hours at the hospital. The stress alone, the man hours that you have wasted. And so we want to encourage people to continue to take good care of their health so far as their kidneys are concerned.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lesel Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Beaches in Ankafo within the Infantiman municipality have become an eyesore due to mounting refuse, open defecation and poor sanitation. Now, despite the worsening conditions, food vendors continue to operate amid the filth. With cholera cases on the rise, health officials warn of a looming public health crisis if urgent measures are not taken. While some residents believe the waste is a barrier against tidal waves, others call for immediate intervention. Eric Asante visited the Ankafo community and tells us more in this report.
From about 100 meters away, the stench from this beach greets visitors and residents alike. Once a place of relaxation, it has now become an eyesore, a dumping ground for refuse, a site for open defecation, and shockingly, a hub for food vendors. Health officials are warning that this growing sanitation crisis could put the entire community at risk. Acting Director of Health in the Central Region, Dr. Agnes Anani, says the situation directly threatens the fight against cholera.
We've introduced vaccination for 3 of our districts. And with our environmental assessments, we noticed that it was water, shortage of water, and also the environment, open defecation and refuse, indiscriminate dumping of refuse that are worrying. When you walk along the coast, you still see people practicing open defecation, which is very worrying because the same water that will come and wash, the feces back into the water. And this water, you go along the shore, I remember when we went to Ifutu, we saw children washing their mangoes with water that they've taken from the sea. And this water, as we all know, if people are defecating along the coast, then you think that the water is contaminated. When you walk around, you see people dumping refuse everywhere. You go and heap of refuse on our streets. And I think with these two, if a law enforcement agency will help us so that people will stop defecating along the coast and also people will not throw their refuse anyhow, it will help us to be able to break this cholera transmission.
The dangers are not limited to adults alone. Children who play around these waste-filled areas are exposed to infections, respiratory issues, and skin diseases. Without interventions, this problem could only worsen. Unfortunately, some residents claim the pile of rubbish is acting as an artificial sea defense. Even though the assembly member of the area has solely funded the construction of a 100-seat capacity toilet, some residents were seen engaging in open defecation.
The Basra Banam water and Obutu Wabasha body, Kuya Namurubushi, I say, Obutu ye body from Yasu and Waka and Kakra. The Abanam one here this year. Because all it's in a papa. What they didn't quenny. Say, Obia Bosha, you may and ye, I me see. Into Kuya one number of boy and one boy in my body would fear. Mostly asking my mamma, my way be there, me, Tramotu.
The residents say they have had enough. They are calling on the government to support the assembly members' initiative and provide long-term waste management solutions to prevent further health crisis.
More than now, Ama honorable why nkaibo bebre there momo bia anje na wonpoano a mpoano wonye won na na border nti wokosuma border na chi ina woje won nan nti ya toto sraban there border omohwe na onyimfiri wo mo se aban na nkasa obotunyi pram wa abohwe a obowu da za ye kan na oyanokwa.
The beach, once a lively place, is now a symbol of the community's sanitation crisis. My name is Eric Asante for Joy News.
Officials of the Forestry Commission have apprehended 8 suspected illegal miners deep in the Subri Forest in the Western region. The operation, led by Western Regional Manager of the Forestry Commission, Nana Poku Bosompim, also saw the destruction of mining equipment, highlighting the ongoing battle against illegal deforestation and environmental degradation. Here's Natalia Kwanzaa's report.
This is the Subri Forest Reserve, one of Ghana's largest and most significant biodiversity zones, spanning over 580 square kilometers. It has suffered severe deforestation over the past 2 decades due to illegal activities, including mining. During a recent operation, forestry guards stormed a suspected illegal mining site and encountered 6 men draped in talisman and sitting on motorbikes, seemingly unbothered by the intrusion. Initially confident that they could intimidate the guards, the reality of the full force of the operation quickly dawned on them. 2 other suspects were also arrested: a tricycle rider who claimed he had been called to transport gold-bearing rocks, and a man believed to be a fetish priest responsible for performing rituals to uncover gold deposits.
Look at the Takrady Forest District, for instance. There are about 3 forest reserves. Almost all of them have had incidences of illegal mining in them. If you go to Takwa, that'll be more brazen. If you go to the Asankrega portion of the forest district of the Western region, it has also been very terrible. Then what we are doing now can serve as a major deterrent. Our target is the machines. Our target are the excavators, the gold detector machines. And in due course, I'm sure we'll get them all.
The guards seized and set ablaze 8 motorbikes and 3 tricycles used by the miners. However, excavators, believed to be the primary tool for the illegal operations, were moved before the team could arrive. The devastating impact of illegal mining is evident: scarred landscapes, abandoned pits, and polluted water bodies. Despite these arrests, many miners managed to flee after receiving a tip-off about the operation.
This illegal mining in forest reserves have been very, very devastating. You could see from the large tracts of forest area destroyed to the activities of illegal miners. Now their modus operandi has been to move in the cover of darkness with the excavators, and by morning they move the excavators into the community to create a semblance of, oh, we are mining, but not inside forest reserves. But you could see that when we got into the forest, the excavators have been moved. You could see the tracks on the ground. So the effect has been very devastating. The destruction of the forest cover and destruction of water bodies even found inside the forest.
The 8 suspects are now in police custody, pending further investigation and prosecution. For Joy News, in Natalia Kwanzaa, Western Region.
Now, Ghana Month is often celebrated with a showcase of local clothing, like I'm wearing, and cuisine. However, this year, NOI, an NGO committed to biodiversity conservation, took a different approach. The organization engaged pupils in Amoako and its surrounding communities near the Ankasa forest to instill the importance of environmental conservation through arts and crafts. Natalia Kwanser again in this report.
Pupils from Amoako gathered to celebrate Ghana not through fashion or food, but through environmental awareness.
The Ankasa forest gives government more revenue through tourism. So when the forest is destroyed, government will lose all this revenue. So we should do well to protect it.
When we cut down the trees, we are not going to be able to survive, and many people will also die. So we have to protect our forest.
Niue strategically selected Amoako for this initiative due to its proximity to the Ankasa forest, one of Ghana's most vital ecological zones.
Trying to tell people about conservation and the essence of protecting our environment. Normally in the month of March, it is referred to as the Ghana month, where people proclaim, eat Ghana, wear Ghana, speak Ghana, do everything Ghana, as a way of showing our cultural heritage and also putting our country at a level or at a standard that will be okay for all of us. So we at Norway and then the executives of the Amoako Akrima and the Sodadim electoral area decided to introduce a new phrase. Okay, if we are eating and wearing and speaking Ghana, then we can also introduce conserving Ghana. So we brought the schools together under the environmental education program of Norway to come up with some conservation messages to the community members through a march. So as you've seen earlier in the videos, as the kids march, it was a way of sending a message to their parents to be able to live a sustainable lifestyle for the betterment of our environment.
The initiative as a departure from the usual Ghana Man celebration, focusing not just on culture, but also on sustainability.
We are closer to the forest. I would say that the forest is for us. We are closer. What I know is that there's nothing hindering that forest because of the nature of the area. This place is very important to the extent that we have taken keen measures that no deforestation is going on here. Apart from that, as we are all seeing that some places they are doing, I'm saying here and there that the rivers are all spoiling. For this place, no. We are glad that this area, no anything of that sort is happening this area.
In a way, hopes this project will inspire long-term environmental responsibility for these peoples. Natalia Kwanser, Joy News, Western Region.
From the activities of Norway in the Western region, let's get into our business update now with Benjamin Akaku.
Welcome to our business update. In our first story, finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, says the Bank of Ghana board will undergo challenges in trying to remedy its negative equity position. This comes at a time when the bank needs some 53 billion Ghana cedis. Now, speaking to Joy Business, he indicated that the board had a crucial task ahead.
It is challenging. It is challenging because of the posture of the finance minister, to the extent that government will not come in to support the central bank to get out of the current negative equity position. It is appearing that the amount that will be needed may be in excess of even 70 billion, because we don't just restore it to a zero equity position. We must make sure that the equity position becomes even positive. So we are looking for something maybe in the region of maybe 70 billion.
And now accounting and auditing firm KPMG is calling on government to consider bringing back the tax amnesty initiative to attract defaulting taxpayers to return to their obligations. Commenting on the 2025 budget and economic policy, partner of tax at KPMG Ghana, Kofi Frimpong Kori, believes that reintroducing the amnesty program will spur more taxpayers to support domestic revenue mobilization.
I think that for me, if you ask me, we should leave it as it is. We should leave it, because I don't want the impression to be created in the minds of taxpayers that government is stifling the refund process. And that's why at the tail end, I was even introducing the fact that, recommending the fact that maybe the Revenue Authority need to do a bit of tax amnesty and then maybe voluntary tax administration. The tax amnesty mostly pushes people to come forward to go through those processes because they know that maybe because there's an amnesty associated with it, if I come forward to disclose my portion, I can either get my refund or I can be made to pay the tax that I owe without any penal measures. So it's a combination of all factors. Government should ensure that they are not staffing the Revenue Authority in paying the taxes that are due taxpayers, because that in itself will then make people go under the radar. But if they open it up, taxpayers will know that no, even if I overpay, there's a tendency for the government or the Revenue Authority to pay me back my money. And that is also to ensure some confidence in the tax system. So that's what I would recommend.
And on that tax amnesty note, I cap off the business updates, handing over back to Sweetie Abochi.
Ends the AM News Bulletin on the AM Show. Stay with us because we get right into our news review segment. We'll be right back. Welcome aboard the news review segment on the AM Show. But I have a question. If you know, let me know. Send me a message. But a gentle reminder that Waylead Properties is our sponsor for the AM Show. But are you thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in? Waylead Company Limited is your preferred choice for such investment. Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit here in Accra. Invest in our new development, Willow Lane, where elegance will meet tranquility in the heart of Accra. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and also with a flexible payment option. At Waylead Properties, we provide you 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay a memorable one. Give us a call now, 0240-111-119 or 050-4499-999. You can also visit our website, www.waylead.org. Well, my guest joining me in studio this morning, Andy Apia Dankwa, is a spokesperson for Movements for Change, and Kofi Akwa, Communications Directorate from the CPP. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Happy Ghana Month, eh? We are all looking at a tad bit traditional today.
Yeah. And you talk about...
Yeah. I really don't know what it's called, but I'm enjoying how free it makes me.
You look good. You are looking good.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, they say it's a boo-boo. Is it boo-boo or boo-boo? Hey, but let's get into
the boo-boo is very uncanny. The boo-boo.
Hey, Poma. Anyway, so let's get into some quick reflections on the topical issues making the airwaves now, and then we get into the newspapers. And I want to start with you.
Yes.
What's on your mind? Don't take me to Dampare because we all woke up. Well, the news broke yesterday, but looks like reactions are pouring in this morning heavy. But what's on your mind this morning?
Yeah, so let me wish your lovely viewers a good morning.
Yeah.
I wish yourself a good morning. My CVP brother, yes. Kofi, a good morning. No, Dampare is certainly not on my mind. I think what caught my attention this week was diplomatic efforts by His Excellency John Mahama to more or less start the process or initiate the process to restore the damaged relationship between Ghana and the Sahel countries. I think is in line with the reset agenda he promised. Historically, just a mere look at the flag of Ghana and the flag of those countries shows you the special bond that existed between them. Ghana has always been more or less like the big brother to most of the countries in West Africa. In spite of our size, we are the big brothers in West Africa here, not Nigeria. Nigeria can't make that claim.
Yeah.
And that's because of the fantastic work the founder of this country, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, did his Pan-African efforts. So for me, one of the biggest disappointments in the SOR regime was how the president of Ghana can be part of a system that will destroy the relationship that existed between Ghana, Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, and Niger. So it is refreshing that His Excellency Mahama, as part of the reset agenda, would take special effort to restore this long-lasting relationship. At least, if nothing at all, history tells us that in Kwame Nkrumah's efforts to broker the unity of Africa, his biggest allies were Guinea and Mali, and we forged a fantastic relationship ever since. Yeah. So it was a bit disappointing that Ghana will be part of that effort to destroy that special bond. So I think for me it's very significant. It's very, very significant, and I'll commend the president for his efforts, and to remind Ghana that Ghana has a very strong relationship with some countries, and presidents should be guided by our collective values as a people, and not take steps or seem to be aiding efforts to destroy those relationships. Right. So for me, that's what is on my mind this morning, as against Ekufu Dampare's. Is it a dismissal?
Yeah. They've appointed a new IGP. Okay. I'm wondering though, what does that mean for him? Whether he's proceeding on retirement or not. But let's listen to Goofy and then we'll get into the papers and discuss.
Yes, good morning to you and our viewers.
Good morning.
Good morning to all CPP members. Good morning to you, my brother. First of all, I want to touch on maintenance culture, which irritates me in this country. I was driving to multimedia, and on my way, I found out that yesterday, it rained heavily. They actually waters.
Was it that heavy?
Very, very heavy.
Okay, not at where I was.
Oh, okay. Lucky you.
Yeah, lucky was really.
Yeah, lucky.
Okay.
So there are pools of water. I mean, it's even flooding the road. Okay, it's stagnating on our roads, and that's not the first time. I've written this for about 10 years ago. So from Pukwasi coming, Tantra, you see it. Then from Tantra all the way to Oda Chimota. No, I think ABC.
Okay.
The water actually, yes, stagnating on our road. And we're all passing by. And the most annoying part is that when you get to Tesano, I just sent the police station. Okay, that's the police school. You see water stagnating the road. And when you are about to get to Aveno, you see that too. And I'm asking myself, do our leaders pass here? Whose duty is it to make sure that the place is dredged so that we don't see this? Because what is going to happen is that one day, this water is going to dig deep into the roads. And if it doesn't sink, it will crack. And another finance minister is going to come to us and tell us that we need money to go and repair that road. It irritates me. For 10 years, I've witnessed this. We just go up front and then we come back. If we are saying that this is a Ghana month and that this is the country we love and we want to showcase Ghana, nobody want to see that. It's sad. Nobody want to see that. If you are celebrating Ghana on the internet, you are celebrating Ghana at the world front, and you are asking people to come and stay in Ghana, relocate to Ghana, or at least visit Ghana, is this what you want them to see? Water stagnating in your main roads. I mean, seriously, not this 21st century. Who does this? And there's a minister of roads and transport and whatever.
What do you think the problem comes from? Is it the quality of the
No, I think that the drainage system that connects the road is choked.
But there are potholes. That's why the water stays. And I agree with you.
It's not the potholes alone.
10 years. I lived in Achimota for half a decade. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Excellent.
But I'm saying that what is the water when it rains?
Yes.
But is it drainage?
I think there's a drainage system
potholes
which is supposed to be the pedestrian walkway.
Right.
Okay, it's choked. So they need to remove those culverts and then dredge it. Okay, and make sure that the water finds its way out of the road. Because look, this thing has been happening for 10 years. Imagine the rust. If it was a metal, I'm sure by now it has rusted and it is even breaking up, all that. So it's sad. Now, I want to join my brother to congratulate President Mahama for getting it right, for appointing an envoy to liaise between we and the Saharan region, as they call it now. People have been asking me, What's the essence? I mean, Bubulati we wanted to give Bubulati a position, and because of that, he created this portfolio and has given it to him. We are a funny country. Look, you pass through the streets of Accra, and there are some women and children begging on the street. Do you know where they come from? That part.
Yeah.
Okay? First of all, they've been flooding in and out. If you want to find out what is causing that, if you want to get to the root cause of it, you have to find out what is happening in those regions. You have to understand the geopolitics that's happening there. And based on that, you can have some sort of amicable solution, because at the end of the day, they don't also have to see you as a hostile country to their citizens, okay? After all, they are neighbors, okay? And we have always been upheld by the fact that they are ISIS standing by, and they are these extremists and all that. So if we don't find a way to strategically deal with them, and they say that, okay, fine, these people are maltreating our citizens in this country, so their, what you call, borders are porous anyway, enter. What is going to happen? Already we are having issues with Boko and other places.
Right.
So getting Larry Bavulati to handle this is one thing. I think President Mahama has got it right. Okay. And I think that, yes, because he's he's a security man, very intelligent, okay? So I think that this is an opportunity to find out why these people are flooding our country. Year in, year out, you see different faces. They knock on your on your glass and all those things and all that. So I think that Dampare Out.
Okay.
Okay. Quickly.
No, let's get into the papers.
I don't have it in my papers.
No, I mean
you
I want to start the news. You want to reflect on something else?
Yes, I want to go to Dampare.
No, we'll get to Dampare. Dampare is in all the newspapers this morning. Let's get into the newspapers.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I think
so let's start with the Daily Graphic. So on the front page, Yohonu takes over from Dampare as IGP. The story is on page 25. I'll get to it in a bit. Auditor General's recoveries hit 31.5 million Ghana cedis, money transferred to consolidated funds. Pastor Otabil urges strict law enforcement for national development, and President orders audits of SOEs. He says losses will no longer be tolerated. You either be privatized, reformed, or just completely shut down. Let's start from Yohonu, our new IGP. That's an interesting one. I know Kofi wants to get into it, so let's start with that. And that story is on page 25 of the Daily Graphic. President John Dramani Mahama, in consultation with the Council of State, has appointed Commissioner of Police Christian Tete Yohonu as the new Inspector General of Police, and he takes over from COP Dr. George Dampare, whose tenure as IGP has come to an end. We all know the story, and I think most people are actually familiar with Christian Tete Yohonu. And since this news broke, they've been waxing lyrical about how he fits the bill and all that. But I think people, well, two sides of the coin, really. Some people thought that Dampare could have been maintained. Others thought that it was only a matter of time before he would put it out. Kofi, I've set the pace for you. Let's get into your thoughts with that side.
You see, when it comes to this issue, I'm torn in between.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, history has taught us that if you have an IGP you don't trust, it can really make things messy for you. On February 24th, 1966, there was a coup d'etat, the first coup d'etat in this country. And in that coup d'etat was the Commissioner of Police, which is currently the IGP, Mr. Hari. And then he was aided by Kutuka and others who were army generals and all that. So if you are the president of this country, and you feel that your IGP was appointed by your predecessor, and that when it comes to the issue of trust, in quote, okay, you have your own doubts and all that, are you still obliged to keep him?
Are you saying it's an issue of trust, that the president does not trust Dr. George?
I'm saying that if the president feels comfortable around Dampare, he will still be the IGP. And it's very important because at the end of the day, he is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. He has been given the role to protect you and I so that we can have a sound sleep. And if his Inspector General of Police is somebody he is not so sure of, he's uncomfortable with. His own political party people are advising him left, right, center. What is he supposed to do? That is one aspect of it. Then the issue of a civil servant who is supposed to be aided and then supposed to be protected by virtue of the fact that he serves the public. This person rises through the ranks and becomes IGP. He gets appointed and all that. He becomes IGP. And at the end of the day, a president comes and says, I can't work with you. Now, I'm looking at it from this angle. Let's say somebody enters the Ghana Police Service, becomes IGP at the age of 40 years. He spent 8 years with the government in power. So he's 48 years. And now you relieve him of his position. What is he supposed to do? You ask that question. Is that the end of the road for him? Does it mean he's going on retirement? Does it mean he's going to get all his entitlement? What does it mean?
Because usually that's what happens. You proceed on retirement.
But the point is, he's still active. He's a young man. Yeah. He still wants to be in the service.
In fact, the notice didn't clarify what happens to him.
But it won't clarify because this is a political thing. And we have been doing this over and over again. Now, what is happening in this country is that a new president, a new IGP. A new president, a new electoral commission.
Okay, hold for me. Let me get the thoughts of...
I don't see.
I
don't see what the issue is.
No?
There's absolutely no issue, in my view. Because in 1992, the people of Ghana created the framework under which we ought to be governed. And then under that framework, I think Article 202, we said the president of Ghana has the power to appoint. So IGP is appointed, it's not like a career, what's called, projection, and then you become an IGP. The people of Ghana decided that, listen, under the framework that we, the people of Ghana, want to be governed under, the president ought to have the power to appoint or disappoint the IGP. And then the limitation we place on him is that, listen, consult the Council of State. That's the limitation. So as to whether or not he has the legal rights to appoint or to sack the IGP, I don't see what the issue is. We can decide to question what his reasons may be. And you give a fine...
Modernization?
No,
he said he gave a fine...
No, he gave a fine example.
Right, okay.
Because if we have a history in this country where an IGP can be central to deposing of a constitutionally elected president. Also, we have that history, unfortunately.
But my mind keeps going back to that, trial, that leaked tape about plots to remove the IGP because if he's in power, the NPP could not rig the elections and all that. It sort of suggests that he's not really in bed with them like that. They wanted him out. And so if he's competent enough, I get what Kofi said about trust, right? And I get the point you're making. These are security matters. Of course, you have to trust your IGP. Yeah. But really, if he's not still in bed with the NPP, what's then really not to trust?
No, it has nothing to do with competence.
Yeah, it's purely political.
And all to do with what is the opinion of the president. And that's why I'm saying that in 1992, we the people, because you see, the starting point of the power the president exercises is us. So in 92, when we created the framework that will govern, dictate how the president acts, we the people, we the people decided that, listen, you the president, you should have the power to appoint or you understand? And the president is exercising that power.
So we should review that. Is that what you're saying? No, maybe the highest rank, it just goes like that. You proceed on retirement, the next person in line just automatically becomes IGP. No. Is that something we should be looking at?
No, based on the history of this country. And I'm very glad Kofi gave that. So, because it will present great danger for our country if, let's say, we go on the career projection path and then you have a situation where an IGP that has different political idea from the president. It's dangerous. It's dangerous for the country. It's based on our peculiar history. We had the person we placed the security of this country, and he led the coup d'etat of Sajifo. Right now, we call the CP call it the day of shame. Yes, and I align with them 100% on that score. And it was led by an IGP of this country, and people were supposed to protect this country. So you see, I don't see why we are making so much.
But let's talk about his tenure then. How would you characterize, this the 8 years under Dr. George Dampare as IGP. How do you characterize it?
Generally, very good in my view.
Very good.
So
what? You said generally very good. So I want to be sure that.
Generally, how much would I give him?
Yeah, let's do that.
You have a crash.
Me?
Yeah.
I have a what?
I'm asking.
No.
Okay.
I'm just asking. I'm asking the questions on the minds of people. On a scale of 1 to 10.
No, but there's nothing wrong if you admire him. I mean, he's a fine gentleman.
I'm indifferent.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
I think 6.
A fine gentleman.
6?
I think 6. Obviously,
what are the gaps? Where did the 4 go?
I think, as in one, the diplomatic, he almost, that diplomatic issue with the UK,
the IGP.
Have you forgotten that?
Oh, okay.
You had this diplomatic issue with I think the UK or the US.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was an issue. The over-politicization of the police force under his watch.
What do you mean by over-politicization?
Oh, so you see, I don't believe that there's anybody in this world who is neutral. I don't believe that under in every situation you can't find anybody who is neutral. But for
there's one right.
No, you are not neutral. Yeah.
You are indifferent but not neutral.
No, you are not neutral. You can't be neutral. But for the good of everybody, we must not know
where you stand.
On yes. There are certain positions, so they're easy. They're easy votes.
Yeah.
They're easy votes.
Yeah.
Yes, so this election, the easy voted. The easy had her preferred choice. That they all vote. But for the interest of the nation, you must do everything to guide or guard your interests. And probably that's the argument we can make for like what you said, that we shouldn't create a situation where every 4 years, new government, new IGP. So that's a very strong argument. But I think under his watch and backed by the league PIP and the contents of the league PIP, I think the police force was over-politicized. I don't know whether to put the blame on him or on the president himself at that time. That's when I say president himself.
But if he allowed himself to, then definitely.
And I think his focus was too much on PR as against proper police.
I totally agree with you.
His focus was on PR. It's like you have a PR.
Well, I think what they sought to do was to centralize the flow of information. So that they had control over what comes out. I know that that's also means that you're telling us what you want us to hear. But
for me, I believe in decentralization as against over centralization.
But these are security matters.
So you can decentralize that, but to have effective security, it must be decentralized.
And I don't know the information flows from down upwards, okay?
Not up, down.
And then you manage it and then decentralize it again.
Yeah.
You see, under his watch, he focused on visibility.
We saw lots
of... To me, I have a bit of problem with it. I like security, okay? I believe that when it comes to security, especially if you want to do prevention, there should be more intel picking than visibility. So I see Sweetie wearing a police uniform and I'm a thief. I want to steal from him. I'm a pickpocket. So what I will do is that I will only postpone it because you are standing there.
Yeah.
All right? Because you are in a uniform, I can see that you're a police woman. If I do it, you arrest me. All right? So I will only postpone it. But I'll take it from the next victim. And to me, this is what I didn't like about the Dampare administration. There was a lot of visibility, less intel. Okay? Because a lot of things happened. And you realize that, how can this happen? And of course, there were police brutalities as well.
Okay.
I mean, so many of them.
Yeah.
But this whole thing was prepared from inside. We had former COP Alex Mensah also, okay? Making allegations against the IGP. He was an MPP person. He stood at the primaries at the Kwai constituency, all right? And of course, also in the Ghana Police Service, there were a lot of agitations when it came to Mr. Dampare. My only pain for him is that he is still a young person. He is a career policeman, probably very knowledgeable in his field. And all of a sudden, we are discarding him, okay? Because there's a change of government. That's where I have an issue. And that's where the Convention People's Party, at a point in time, the CPP, at a point in time said, look, let's strengthen the institutions we have. Yeah. What if at a point in time, all ranks from ASP all the way up are going to elect among 5 COPs, one of them to be the IGP. So it's a pure police thing. Meritocracy. It's not like I am the president and I'm appointing you. No. So all ASPs congregate at one place, just like we politicians do, and say that, okay, there are 5 COPs who qualify to be the IGP. We want my brother here. Okay. And at the end of the day, he's elected by the Ghana Police Service. And if you go to the UK and other places, that's what they do.
I hate to take the wind out of your sail, but we have to make progress because...
we're making progress.
Yeah. As we move on to other stories
anyway,
now. Yeah.
All right.
And let me just quickly run through the daily graphic, and then the stories that pique your interest, we will reflect on those. So on the back page, government reduces price of passports to 350 Ghana cedis. It was originally 500 Ghana cedis. Blood Service urges support to meet 308,000 units annually. In sports, Amasaman Olympia Africa complex faces scrutiny. And in education, parents of students in Category A senior high schools must pay fees. The new headmaster of Oda Senior High School, Erica Moore, has proposed that parents of the senior high schools, parents of the people who chose the Category A senior high schools from next year must pay everything, while those in Category B. Well, the Consultative Education Forum will be presenting their report by end of this month, and we'll see what the recommendations are in terms of how they want to structure or restructure the free senior high school policy. GJA saying motivate staff to deliver on mandates. They had a press conference yesterday. The Ghana Journalists Association has called on media organizations to adopt innovative measures to keep their respective staff motivated to deliver their critical mandate as the fourth estate and assert your relevance in nation's development. Should we pause here and see any of these stories pique your interest yet? I'll usher in my third guest in a bit. And in politics, you churn out wrong data to tarnish our image. Let's stay here for a brief while. So the minority in Parliament has accused the government of churning out wrong data to tarnish the image of the past government in the recently delivered budget statement by the Finance Minister, Dr. Ato Forson. And addressing a news conference at Parliament House in Accra yesterday, the immediate past Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, said government, quote, has erroneously churned out wrong data in a bid to tarnish the image of the NPP administration by including 49.2 billion Ghana cedis in expenditure claims without any basis. And in fact, I've been listening to Kojo Opon Nkrumah talking about how although we are reduced the number of people in government, it doesn't necessarily mean that we've seen a reduction in the budget or the expenditure of government for this year. Let me also usher in our guest, our third guest who joins us. We have Professor Isaac Boedi, Dean, Accounting and Finance at UPSA. Prof, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good friends.
Okay.
Your viewers as well.
Right. I'll come to you when we get the conversation started. Kofi, which of the stories did you want to get to?
So I want to pick on first the headmaster who says Category A student must pay school fees. Such comments has not come from people who head such institutions. What is the meaning of Category A schools? I mean, we know fine. I mean, yeah.
The schools are categorized, you know.
Yes, but the point is that at the end of the day, are the parents of those students who are going to go to that school not paying taxes? Are you going to introduce segregation? What is this?
Yeah.
And I find it very absurd when it comes from people like this, okay, who should know better, okay? The free senior high school is the only best thing that Akufo-Addo-led administration left us. It's the only thing I can count on, okay? And to me, it's an investment this country is making. We should not alter it.
Okay.
People are being given access to go to senior high schools. Lucky for them, the Mahama administration is also promising first year no fees entry. Yeah. Okay, so what it means is that in the next 10 years or 8 years or let's say 15 years, we are going to have more doctors, we are going to have more lecturers, we are going to have more journalists.
You say that with such confidence, like it's automatic. It would happen.
But definitely, I mean, if you have, look, if I had
the no fee stress policy is just for first year.
Yes,
and it takes
but you know the stress is at the entry. okay, where you have to get your hall, you get your this, you get your all that's where the wahala is. You understand? So if you are a parent and you really want to see your child through school, definitely a burden has been taken from you, and you must take opportunity. Okay. What I'm saying is that most of us did not get access to free senior high schools, and we had to hustle very hard.
You made
to, well, I've actually not reached there. You understand? So the point is that if we as a country want to develop this country, we need people to be educated, so that at the end of the day, they will have the technical know-how to be able to facilitate the development we want. Okay. Now let me go to the reduction of the passport fees to 350. Excellent job. Okude, to thumbs up. This is what we are looking for. The Ghanaians are suffering, and there's the need to take some burden off the Ghanaian. And if a minister, okay, or a government understands that the Ghanaian is suffering and that there's the need to ease the burden, why not?
And I see you smiling, but I'll come to you in a bit.
Yes, so I'm actually happy about it. Right. It's excellent. Right. Now, the issue of wrong data and all that, I think I'll delve into it much. But you know what? I'm going to do a reminder, and I'm referencing Joy News. Prior to the budget, you interviewed Kojo Ponkroma, and he said that he hopes that the Minister of Finance will present the right budget. And at the end of the day, it's going to be the Ghana Statistical Service and other institutions who are going to also bring in data. So if they believe that the Ghana Statistical Service is an independent institution which is public-minded, why are they talking about tarnishing of images? If you left a good image, I mean, you see, I'm always saying that journalists and public institutions are like painters. If they see black, how can they paint white? You understand my point? Now, let me go here quickly. Let me refer to the budget. Update on arrears payable accumulation. Point 50. Mr. Speaker, at the end of December 2024, total central government arrear payables, that is money that government owes people. Okay? These are taxes have been collected, loans have been collected, grants have been given to us. Now, amounted to 67.5 billion, representing 5.2% of our GDP. Where's the image tarnishing here? Okay. If you have done it right, would we have this data? Okay. Unless you are contesting this data, you are telling us this data is wrong. And if this data is wrong, where is your data? Okay.
I get the point you're making. Prof, well, welcome to the program. We're discussing some of the issues making the
keep quiet. It's annoying.
Kofi seems very passionate this morning. I like it. Yeah.
Well, I'm a patriot.
Okay. So, Prof, we discussed the removal of Dr. George Ekufu Dampare as IGP and the appointment of COP Christian Yonu. We're also talking about the reduction of the cost of passport from 500 cedis to 350, and the NPP saying that the NDC government churned out wrong data to tarnish their images. And any of these stories you want to reflect on? Your take now.
I think, good morning again. Yeah. Good morning to your viewers. On the issue of, other issues have been overflogged, so I will not go into those areas. But do my submission on the passport, and then we'll move into the data and the budget. I'm sure it came out of the budget. So for me, anything that would take off the burden, the burden on other citizens, I will go for it. I will support in any day, because if you want to reduce payment for passport, other countries, you are called for your renewal to come. How much do we even pay? It's your right. You have to renew your passport. But in Ghana, you have to fight. You have to pay money.
You have to know people.
In fact, everything you have to struggle in this country to get. It's your right. You can't leave the country without a passport. You can't travel. But yeah, we fight. Even passport renewal, you have to fight. So if they want to reduce the cost, it's good. Then on the issue of data, that came out of the budget. I also have been discussing this, that sometimes we need to give credit to administration. And when someone even presents something to you, because in academia, even if they will give you 0, they can also give you 1 at least to say that you've done well. So sometimes when you are we will critique. We don't criticize. We find a way of helping you to shape up the things that you are doing. We've given some commendation to the budget presentation. It's been the first time of this administration. It's been in opposition for 8 years. I've seen some investment in some other areas, social protection, sanitary part.
Yes.
Our brothers in the north, the Volta region, allocation also for them. So we give this government credit in that regard.
Yeah.
Let's come to the substance of the whole thing. In fact, the budget of ambitious reforms. And it repeats the mistakes of the past.
It does.
Yeah. A lot of inconsistencies in the budget.
Like what? Just so that we can follow the argument you're making.
First of all,
of inconsistencies, yeah.
Anytime you want to assess budget, you need to look at initiatives. If you take the whole budget in sections, section 1, introduction, section 2, it gives you something about what the previous administration did.
Yeah.
Then they will focus on their own initiative. Then they will conclude. So let's forget about chapter 1, chapter 2. Come to the initiatives. If you want to measure, look at the initiative, you look at the target, you look at the timeline, and how to achieve. That's how we analyze certain things. If you put the back, they put out initiatives, no timeline. They don't give you how they are going to achieve those. Now, the old administration gave you an amount of 60 billion for the first quarter. Talking about the inconsistencies and the fact that they've been able to reset the economy well, and now have bought into that section. They have reset the economy well. Gave you 60 billion. You come to Parliament requesting for additional 291. If you add the 291 to 60, it makes almost 350 billion. All right? Then you tell us that you want to generate revenue of 223 billion.
Mm-hmm.
It conforms, it's a normal pattern that we have as deficit all the time. So we don't have a problem. But when you are given huge sums of money to spend, or you're going to be given, we expect you to have a projection that will fit into what you are going to ask for. Before taking over, economy, per the figure even you have here, 5.7, that's a growth. With a budget 2024 of 250 billion. Now you are given, if it's approved, you're going to be given 250 billion. And you tell us you want to grow the economy by 4%. How do you do that? It tells you in the budget, they'll reduce taxes.
Scrap, abolish taxes.
But they will find a way to reserve some money if they take the one off. They want to now reduce the tax refund, 6% to 4%. They are giving a buffer of 2, right? 6 to 4.
Yeah.
Meaning the government want to take, let's go 2%. Now he finds another way of slashing or moving from 1% of growth and sustainability tax to 3%. A difference of what? 2.
Mm-hmm.
So you drop 1, you go and get it here. It's not resetting.
Okay, let me take you back to the first point about the money they're looking for and the growth percentage they're talking about. Are you saying it is impossible to achieve that 4% with the amount of money if it's approved, they're going to be getting for this year?
Someone requested or used 250.
Yes.
And achieved an average growth for the first quarter 2024, second quarter, averagely 6.something% with an expenditure of 250. You are requesting for 350 or so. Already you're giving 60 billion. We are going to approve 290 something billion for you. You don't give us that target.
It's too small,
it's too small as a target.
Right.
Because the one who left the administration for you ended with 5.7. So if you're given a target...
But you also started by talking about, you know, making allocation for some social interventions and all that.
They're all part of
the
200, 300, and I mean, that is requesting for.
Is it possible that, you know, where the shortfalls are coming from are rather are redirected into these other places that don't feed into the economy?
You and I should not be even speaking for them.
I'm just trying to understand, you know, what you're saying.
We are struggling. I'm struggling. That's all we are even, because I didn't see that.
I'm allowed to ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
So, Prof, are you saying that the expected growth is directly proportional to the amount of money you put in? Is that how the economy works?
Yeah.
So you put in X and the directly
input equals to output.
Well,
that's what you're saying.
We always.
But is that always the case?
Unless sometimes there's a external shock somewhere.
Which
we saw, well.
No, but so what I'm saying is that unless there's an external shock, the amount of money you place in the economy will. So when we say place, as in the amount of money budget for will certainly determine
the percentage of growth we get from.
Proportional. Is that
what you're saying?
Well, if you look at the numbers, if you are requesting for an X amount, and someone leaves an administration with a growth of 5.7, and you come in, you are requesting for an additional amount, we are also expecting that things will not be the same like the old administration. Price of item would have also gone up in this administration. It's fair.
Prof, in all this, you are forgetting debt service.
I'm saying that. It's important.
You let me have my say on that.
Yes, and our time is running.
Prof, let me have my say.
Debt servicing.
So, Prof, let me have my say.
Prof, I just want you to answer yes or no. Is it directly proportional? Is input equals to output? So the money that we are giving the government to run, it should be...
Even not setting a target, set a target. If that's what realistically they can achieve, that is fair. But my point is that why would you want to reduce the bar? I mean...
Would you not rather they give us this small percentage, estimated, projected, and overdue, than give us a higher percentage or projection, and then they don't meet it? I'm just saying.
Well, we are here struggling. But if someone comes to you and requests for huge sums of money and tells you that I want...
It's a complicated theory anyway.
The person leaves you in the office.
Well, I mean, that's how investment works. You expect that when you put some money into something, into a venture...
Whoever talks lending government money will lead to DDP.
I'm coming.
Okay, gentlemen, let's hold on now.
I think the topic was simple. The MPP is claiming that government, first of all, or this government, have churned out wrong
numbers,
data. To tarnish. So for me, there are two issues here. Whether or not is indeed this government has churned out wrong data. That's the first issue. The second issue is whether or not the purpose, the focus is to tarnish their image. I want to answer the second question, then I'll come to the first question. What image do they have? My brother here was quick to talk about DDEP. I'm glad my professor is here. Economic 101. The safest place to place your money is with government bonds. And that theory has been breached. They've wiped the floor with that abiding principle. The water bodies are now brown, green, lead will cause cancer, mercury. What image are they what we're talking about here? Indeed, post His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, this is the worst performance by any certain government. So what image are they talking about? Their image is already in the gutters. It's not true. You understand? Their image is already in the gutters.
I've been told that I have. So you land on your point.
Their image is already in the gutters. And they must take serious steps to reset themselves. You understand? And they are not doing a good job at that by how they are handling some of these issues too. You see, we want to protect, we want to build this country. Now, we know that information used for the budget and all those came from the statistical service. Understand? So when you say that turned out wrong, are they trying to undermine the integrity of the Ghana Statistical Service?
Are you trying to say that the Statistical Service cannot be wrong?
So they should bring up the data.
So you see, it's so critical in a developmental agenda that before you make this serious allegation, you must have incontrovertible evidence. You just don't go about discrediting institutions we created. Yes, and to aid in our effort to build our country. You don't play politics with it. As if for too long, our politicians in this country have been serving as a soap opera, and they've hooked the people of Ghana on this soap opera. And they are failing to deliver on the promise of this democracy. And it must end. It must end. And you see, the burden to end this does not only lie on the government in power, but also on the opposition. That when you are given, it's so perfect between criticizing and critiquing. Yeah. You understand? You are in a position to critique, to help shape policies with the intent and purpose of building a country. You just don't go and in your effort to paint government bad, destroy the building blocks of a developmental agenda. Right. And that's exactly what they want to do. It's sad that we don't have time. We would have discussed this too.
History will remember Akufo-Addo. Adam. Well, let's get the headlines.
Wait, let's stick to it.
Oh, but President Mahama said this when he was leaving. In this final, he said posterity would judge.
Of course. Former finance minister says history will remind Akufo-Addo.
Remember Akufo-Addo.
Yes. So we remember the free SHS. And of course, we will remember Galamsey.
And DDP.
Okay, now...
Did Galamsey start under Akufo-Addo's administration?
It got worse under him.
But it didn't start.
It started way back before...
Let's get the stories on the front pages.
Has the campaign on Galamsey stopped?
No, it hasn't stopped.
We don't hear it anymore.
Hashtag no Galamsey, hashtag stop Galamsey is still on.
We don't hear it anymore.
We are hearing
this morning,
seizure of excavators here and there. We are hearing...
You read it?
Yes. Yes, it's still on. It's really it's on. Prof, are you saying you don't hear anything happening in terms of the fight against Galamsey?
It was something that everyone...
What journey?
But now,
what
we don't hear that.
I watch...
Well, I know that the fight is still... Just this morning or yesterday, I was listening to Erastus Asari report. So let's get the stories on the front pages of your newspaper.
Okay, so I think what is catching my attention has to do with Galamsey as well. Forestry Commission...
Which paper is that?
It is the Inquisitor. So the Forestry Commission arrests 3 Chinese, 9 Ghanaians for Galamsey. And you see, I have a problem that anytime an arrest is made in connection with Galamsey, Chinese people or Chinese citizens are in there.
Yeah.
I don't understand whether it is a strategy by this Chinese, okay, to make sure that they degrade our land, destroy our forest reserves, so that they can start experimenting how to grow cocoa in their country. I don't understand. And it also baffles me that with all the security apparatus we have in this country, these earth destroying and earth moving machines find their way into our forest at the full glare of the police. Because like we gave Dampare the credit, when it comes to visibility, he puts police on every corner, every spot. So when those excavators were moving, when those chamfines were moving, where were the policemen? Look, last time I was returning from Kumasi, okay, and
they're counting me down. I'm sorry. We have to. I want to take quick thoughts from everyone before we go.
Quickly, let me wrap it up.
Yes.
You go to Enyinam area, all the way around the Chebi area, and by the roadside, you see chamfine. What did you do it for? Galamsey. Somebody is making it, and you are allowing it. And illegal. If you see somebody selling weed, will the police allow it? How can we allow chamfine to be made and put in front of the road for everybody to see so that people can go and purchase?
In truth, the question about the Chinese nationals, how are they getting access to these lands?
Exactly the point.
How are they getting into the country with the intent to come in?
And you have a history of Aisha Juan, okay, who came to this country, looted this country, polluted our waters, and even killed.
Okay, hold on for me. Andy, let me take your papers and your quick thoughts, and then we have to go.
Yeah, history remember Akufo-Addo, Adam. Because of
and that's the Ghanaian publisher.
The Ghanaian, and then 5.7% GDP growth, not due to illegal mining. That's the GSS. And then Mahama picks COP Yonu as new IGP, and GJ charges government to protect media practitioners.
Right. Can you just get us a little bit of details in terms of how Ghanaians will remember Akufo-Addo?
Okay, so the story is at page 3. So former Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has expressed confidence that history will recognize the economic achievements of the Akufo-Addo administration, despite the current government's attempts to downplay its success.
Ah, right. Okay. So they'll remember his good work.
No.
They'll remember the administration's successes.
Unless they attempt to use some very special propaganda.
But Andy, you cannot say that they didn't do anything at all.
No, so the issue is, I think the question is about whether he did something or not. Obviously, he did something.
Yeah.
And that was not for the first time in the history of this country.
You remember?
No, that was not for the first time in the history of, as far as I can remember, people can put money in government and will not get the money.
Prof, your paper and then you have the final.
No, but before he goes, let me get the quick bite on what Appiah Dankwa said. I beg you. Listen, when it comes to
10
remembering,
seconds, I'm counting you down.
When it comes to remembering government and all those things, with the exception of free senior high school, okay, what has he done that has not been done before?
All right.
Every government
no, Kofi, hold on. Prof, let's get into the news center. Kofi, hold on.
All those things. Yeah. We remember him for building an Asa Cathedral.
All right.
Digging a hole.
He did
a hole.
Prof, let's get into the news center.
He dug a hole.
The story's on your paper.
Maybe.
The front page.
Let's be serious. We don't say that it is in this country. That's what we
calm down for me.
I am calm.
The good in history, remember.
History
That's
remember.
a good headline.
Whether good or bad, history will remember. He was the president for 8 years.
There's a problem.
Prof,
I think on the news center, non-performing as state-owned enterprises will be merged, privatized, or shut down.
Yeah.
Mama. In fact, we are going to discuss this today at UPSA.
In fact, you're discussing the budget today at UPSA at 10 a.m.
So a full presentation on this.
Press conference.
Yes.
I'm against that.
Can we join you online? Yes. You're streaming online. Okay, great. So please do join UPSA.
But anytime, Prof, anytime you want to discuss.
Well, that's our time this morning on the AM show. Thank you so much for joining us. Those who joined us for this conversation. Professor Isaac Boedi is Dean Accounting and Finance at UPSA. And remember, they're going to be discussing the budget today at 10 a.m., so join them to follow the conversation. Of course, Andy Appiah Dankwa is spokesperson for the Movements for Change, and Kofi Osei Owusu. Osei Kofi Akwa, beg your pardon, from the CPP Communication Directorate. Thank you all for coming, and please stay. There's still more coming your way on the AM show. We'll be right back. You're still watching the AM show on Joy News, which is brought to you by Waylead Properties. Now, I have a question for you. How much do you know about stand-up comedy in Ghana? Well, in this Ghana month, we want to take you on a journey through its evolution from the days of slapstick comedy, what we call concert party, to a thriving industry powered by young, vibrant, and talented comedians making waves on the global stage. In this feature, I delve into the evolution of stand-up comedy in Ghana and the meteoric rise of the man leading the transformation. This is Stand Up Obi. Enjoy.
Once upon a time, before comedy became a solo sport of quick wit and sharp punchlines, Ghana's comedy stage was dominated by theatrical storytelling and dramatization. The maestro of concert party, Bobukala, could fill the National Theatre with ease, drawing crowds hungry for rib-cracking sketches and slapstick humor.
In Ghana, before I became very, very popular, the most popular comedic style was concert. And it was done in the local language, you know. And concert is actually classified as comedy. If you're defining comedy, concert would be called slapstick comedy. They were doing amazing slapstick comedy. You know, we call it concert in Ghana. Concert party. They were performing slapstick comedy.
His ministry laid the foundation for a rich comedic culture in Ghana, one rooted in vibrant performance and elaborate humor.
In Nkomode and Bobokala, they knew their audience. You know, they knew their audience, so they tailored their performances to suit their audience. And they tried as much as possible to be contemporary. Ghanaian audiences love that. I discovered that myself. The more contemporary you are and the more you're able to relate the contemporary issues to regular day events, the more popular you get. So I think Nkomode and Bobokala were in that vein. Even before them, there was Bob Cole. Bob Cole, you were not born. Bob Cole, you were not born, because even I was a little kid. But he was, I think, Ghana's first foremost stand-up comedian, Bob Cole.
But as the curtain fell on one era, a new form of comedic expression was waiting in the wings. From theater halls to boxing arenas, Ghana's comedy stage evolved.
Bob Cole started this way back, and then as I was growing, you know, the likes of Nkomode, but they were all Latter-day Saints, you know, because the earlier ones were the Kakaku group. It was also a concert party, but we had Kakaku and things like that. That was way back, you know. The departure started when Fritz Bafo and Tommy Annan-Forsen also got into the fray. Fritz Bafo was a stand-up comedian. He had performed so many times in Nigeria, and he was known, you know. Even before the Nigerian comedians became popular, Fritz Bafo was doing stand-up comedy, you know. So he came to Ghana, he was doing stand-up comedy, and he teamed up with Tommy Annan-Forsen, you know, who at one point also did the morning show on Joy FM. So I think it went from the tree concert, local concert thing, and then Fritz emerged with Tommy Annan-Forsen, and they came in the scene for a long time. KMSM came after Fritz and Tommy Annan-Forsen. Now we have the new school. Fantastic guys.
Legends like Bobokala, Nkomode, and Ejako ruled the stage with their theatrical storytelling. Humor was larger than life, performed in troops with dramatic flair. But one man, one microphone, and an eager crowd, that simplicity was elusive, almost unimaginable.
Good evening. Are you cold? Are you okay? You say you guys wanted the government to change the National Theatre air condition. Give that for Akufo-Addo. He has tried. Hey, Akufo-Addo need fans crowd. You clap for Akufo.
The 2000s brought a fresh breed of comedic giants: Acrobato, Funny Face, Foster Romanos, and DKB. These pioneers and many more stood at the crossroads of theatrical heritage and solo performance, ushering in a new era of humor. Their work laid the Flint foundation for the next generation. And leading this transformation is a man whose rise mirrors the changing face of the craft itself. This is the story of stand-up comedy in Ghana and the meteoric journey of its brightest star, O.B. Amponsa.
Let's welcome on stage a legend. He has done it consistently for 10 years. Who can ever do it better than him? Raised so many giants in this game, giving many hope. With a round of applause and some scream, let's welcome on stage Obi! I can hear you, Obi! I can hear you, Obi! I can hear you, Obi! Amponsa! Hey, make some fucking noise!
We're going to have a conversation with the legendary Oberima Amponsa. Remember, this is Stand Up Obi. So let's unravel this man. Oberima,
it's great to talk to you.
It's great to
on
talk
Joy
to you
News.
too, Abochi. I like the legendary status.
Yeah, because you are a legend.
Yeah.
Tell us what life was like before the version of Obi Amonsan that we get to see now.
That you get to see. Wow. So I grew up typically in the Brong-Ahafo region, like all my life, all my adolescence. Wow. So I grew up typically in the Brong-Ahafo region, like all my life, all my adolescent life, primary school, GHS, SHS, uni. Yeah, uni level 100 continuing, we're all in the Brong-Ahafo region. So my dad is a civil servant, now he's retired. And so they kept, transferring him from maybe, he started from Wenchi, went to Kintampo, and then my mom has to follow him. My mom is a teacher, so she follows him everywhere he goes. She takes a transfer and then moves along. And then we, the children, also follow. So that's how it was in our house. But then after work, my dad would just sit us down and start telling jokes. I'm not going to lie.
So it did run in the family.
Oh yeah, my dad would just sit us down and start telling jokes. And at some point, he'll use my mom as the throw point. And my mom is just enjoying it. We are laughing at her and she's just having fun with it. And she would throw hers back. Yeah, so it was that kind of fun moment. So when I went to the boarding house at a young age. I went to Breku Macab Complex. In Breku Macab Complex is where comedy started, really.
What does laughter mean to you?
Laughter means a lot for me. My line of work, laughter is like what I look out for when I crack jokes. Like, it's the end product of my work. Like, so I enjoy seeing people happy. I enjoy seeing the teeth of people just open up to my jokes and then laugh. It gives me some sense of fulfillment. The first time I tried that and then I saw like professionally on stage and then I saw the kind of impact I had on people. Like I had people going off, like falling off while laughing. I was like, this is it. There's nothing else I'd want to do than to do this.
So I guess that begs the question, when did you first know that you wanted to tell jokes?
Well, I think professionally, like to earn, it would be when I was in my final year in the university. Yeah, but like...
I know there's a story there, tell us.
There's that story, final year in university when I was in level 600 and my friends had like told me like on countless occasions from level 100 to 500 that, bro, you need to make a career out of this, do something. So finally in level 600, they decided to put together a show for me, like to help me put together a show. And so that show had me and another friend called Fakao on it. And yeah, that was the plan. And together, even the members and the audience were about 90% SDA. My church members, they were all there to support. 10% were like my classmates and some lecturers and all, and it was beautiful.
I'm Robert. Can't go see I. No more bone, no more jelly phone, no more jelly car, and what? I'm going I'm jelly in a way and waiting, waiting. Robert was surprised. I said, how? Robert, where one cat are credit? I can't age out, I can't create message now, no deny. The frozen. Your family could finyama. Could finyama offering him. If you are what? I say, hey, if you are what? Yeah. How would you phone? Jokaki. I didn't believe you. I don't watch.
It was one of the best moments. After that, I was like, right, there's no turning back.
Yeah.
So my dad caught hint that I had done a show on campus, and then he called me. Knowing my dad, I was expecting him to berate me or like, And then he asked me, I heard you did a comedy show on campus. I was like, you heard right, Daddy.
Yeah.
And he said, is that the career you would like to pursue? I remember this conversation very clearly. And I said, yes. He said, okay, enjoy it.
Just like that?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the moment we've been waiting for. This guy is an epitome of hard work, talent, and intelligence. Shall we give him a standing ovation? Push your hands together. Let's welcome the man of the moment, Obi Amponsa.
Obi Amponsa. Obi Amponsa. Obi Amponsa. Obi Amponsa. Obi Amponsa.
They say Nanado was driving one day in town, right? He was at the back seat, doing something on his phone, trying to type something. He decided to look around Ghana. And then you see that thing where you look at something and you have to look at it twice? He was typing, and then his eyes fell on the fuel prices. He was typing, he said, and then he shouted, "Hey! Stay on me!" And then he called Baumia. Said, "Baumia, near fool and a drew no." Baumia said, "Me the jam and me a Ghana card."
So when I came into the scene of Ghanaian comedy, there were pioneers, there were leaders there already. There were people that had actually watched while I was in school. I had watched Clemente Suarez and Romanus, that the Sarkodie and Antimary video. So I knew these guys are comedians. The Intimidation, those guys. Then I had also watched Citizen Kofi, a comedy show that Citizen Kofi they were doing there. And I'd seen DKB, I'd seen Romanus, I'd seen Oscar, I'd seen David Agler. So I knew there were people in the industry already. In fact, DKB had a tour that he came to UCC when I was on campus. Came with Lexi then, so wow. I was just timing my cool and then watching. That's a Ghanaian word, timing cool. And then watching how things were going. I was like, this thing I want to do it, but I was studying it. Yeah, I remember my first show, 50% of my jokes were mine, the rest were theirs. And what I realized was that the Ghanaian audience were always the same. So my approach, and then the next day I went for like the monthly comedy bar. It was the same comedians, but some of them were telling the same jokes. It's like, no, I don't want to do it like that. I want, anytime somebody's coming to watch me, that person to have a feeling like, okay, this guy always gives me new content, so he can give me one of that. At least if he gives me 70% new and 30% old, I will take it.
So that's what you did differently?
I did, yeah. And a lot of people learned that from me. Like, I felt like there should always be some change. You shouldn't be repeating the same thing to these people.
The Ghanaian comedians have been able to turn the tables. And I'm so proud of them. So proud of them. One of the earlier Ghanaian comedians, David Oscar, I don't know where he is now, is one of the earlier ones who began that whole trend of Ghanaian comedy, the new trend of comedy. And then DKB came in, DKB, Foster Romanus, another very, very brilliant comedian. They were the crop of comedians that I inspired. Because comedy was there, but people didn't respect it much because there was a concert. Or Jimmy, they loved Bob Cole as far back as one of them. They loved Jaguar Jokers. They loved comedy, but they were also proud to say we are comedians. So they had underrated it already. So it's like Jimmy Fono. But when you think about it, if somebody says maybe Jimmy, I'm a worry, and then you pay money to go and watch it, one day, Jimmy.
In a decade, Obi's voice became synonymous with stand-up in Ghana.
Hello! You guys know that, like, now you have to be ugly to be popular. Have you realized it? Too much. You have to do foolish things. That guy has a career now. Too much. And then if he doesn't do it alone, there's another guy naked.
I had a PA then who told me that this guy coming up with Obi was very, very, very funny. At that time, I was planning to do a show. I don't remember which of my shows it was. But my PA told me that this guy was funny and it would be great to have him open for the show. My first opening was this David Oscar. He did the first opening. The second opening was Obi, and as I'm backstage getting ready to perform, I was listening and enjoying Obi's jokes, and I'm saying, damn, this guy's good. So the first encounter I had with him was when he appeared to open for me on my show. And even backstage, I'm like, wow, this guy's good. He was making amazing stories about Doomsaw, and they kept them current and so thrilling.
Obi and Ponsa. Well, my name is Elom. I'm the manager of 2927 Restaurant and Event Center. The very first time I met Obi, it was just about business, about comedy club, but today we are friends, and I told myself that Obi has to be my friend. Why? Because of his humor. I love his humor. Anything he says is funny.
Our independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of Haja for Real's music. Say what? Give me some.
But the road to fame was not without its hurdles.
You know, they say great men are not great because of how they were born or what they did with their lives. They're great because of the challenges they had to overcome to achieve or chalk the successes that they did.
That's true.
Talk to me about some personal and professional challenges, how you overcame them, and how it has influenced the man you are today.
For professional challenges, I mean, I always get in trouble with when I do some edgy jokes. Yeah, and that I'm not going to stop. But I mean, it's a challenge in my industry, and I don't mind getting in trouble for work. Anytime you hear that Obi is maybe in the news or something, it's about my work. It's not about anything else. Maybe I'm going to do this comedy here, and and I like it because that's the job of a comedian. You see, for us comedians, what we fail to realize is, and a comedian friend from Tanzania told me, that we are jesters in the king's court. Our job is to alert the king what is going wrong, but in a humorous way. And we are the only people who can do that. Anybody else who does that will be chastised for his political beliefs or whatever that he's subscribing to. But for us,
you have the cloak of neutrality.
Thank you. And we are able to make the king laugh, and we're also able to make the audience laugh as well. I think I did a joke about the ex-president, now the president, Mahama, and even after that, you know, in Ghana, you don't just you don't just get into religious jokes, traditional jokes, like jokes about politics. You don't just get into that. You need to have the heart of a warrior to do that. So I did that, and after even I did that joke, I told the audience in the auditorium that, guys, it's a joke. I had to emphasize that, guys, it's a joke. Do not take this seriously. And the people laughed again, because they knew it was a joke. But the problem with the whole thing was that it didn't end up in the auditorium. It didn't just end in the auditorium. It was being aired live on national TV. And so they were watching. People were watching from home. And so, different angles of attack, my dear. It was bad. I was trending on Twitter for the first time.
And for the wrong reason.
And to me, it was the right reason.
So you didn't cry? You didn't?
I cried. I'm not going to lie. It happened on 24th December. On 25th December was Christmas. I couldn't enjoy Christmas because my number was all over. I was just trying to get away from everything. Like, people were calling me. People I didn't even know, like MPs. And then Sam George wrote a letter, on a long post on Facebook, that they should cancel me either if I'm not taken from the then or if I don't apologize. They are taking me from there. They need me to be cancelled from the show. So,
has it always been an easy journey for you?
No.
In terms of your personal life?
No, it has not been easy.
I mean, we are trying to unravel you.
Yeah.
Let's get up close.
I mean, you know me, so you know me as a friend. There are times that depression just sets in. Like there are times that you cheer people up, but you come back home and face reality. You know, when the stage lights are out, when everything is said and done, and then you come back home to yourself and your lonely life. Because a lot of comedians find solace in making people laugh, but we are unable to make ourselves happy. Yeah. I mean, suicide rates among comedians are high. Yeah. So when those moments come, we try to use other methods to entertain ourselves. So we listen to music, we watch movies, we try to encourage ourselves by watching, praying, getting involved in social activities. That's why I enjoy being a chorister.
His comedy journey began in optometry school, where his knack for humor couldn't be contained. By 2014, he took a leap of faith, and his story crescendoed into the historic moment witnessed at the Bukom Boxing Arena. In December 2024, Obi Amponsa achieved a milestone few have matched, filling the Bukom Boxing Arena, a feat that cemented his status as Ghana's leading stand-up comedian and underscored the evolution of comedy in this era.
You are strictly Christian and you still want to shout to Christian music, I have a way out. There's this song. So your wife or your girlfriend takes off her clothes and you are a little shy, shocked and scared. You're like, I got Jesus in my life. Living for his glory, I'm on fire every day. And nothing can stop me. Doesn't matter what I face. Then take off your boxer. I am getting bigger. Every day we getting. Hey, Masai. Now your wife or girlfriend looks at you and says, hey, of late your energy is different. You're like, not by power. How is it not by mind? But who is helping you? By the spirit of the... Then you do a style and she says, hey, which style is this? Anything is... You look bigger. Now pick her to the kitchen. She will ask you, where are you going? Say, we have moved.
Obi Amponsa, a talented comedian who understands his craft. I want to assure all corporate sponsors, if you have a good, well-noted comedian knocking on your door that sponsor my show, run to them.
The stage that Bobokala once commanded has transformed. Today, it belongs to a new generation, one that stands on the shoulders of giants and pushes boundaries. From the National Theatre to arenas reverberating with laughter, this is the story of Stand-Up Obi, a tale of dreams, determination, and a nation finding its comedic voice anew.
But me can win 10 votes. Napo will say something, 7 will clear. No, that I'm not the bride challenge. No, I'm not the bride, I'm the bride friend. And then Akufo comes like, I spent your money.
Well, that's the story of Stand-Up Obi, a tale of determination and a nation finding its comedic voice anew. And joining me for a brief conversation on the back of that is Oberima Amponsa Akoku. Obi, welcome to the program. Obi is joining me via Zoom for a conversation on the back of this. We want to understand a few things. First, how he feels about all this, that feat, filling the Bukom Boxing Arena, December 2024. No, it hasn't been done before. A stand-up comedian filling that arena just to entertain people. It was wonderful. I was there myself. If we have Obi Amponsa with me via Zoom now. Obi, welcome to the AM show.
Hi, sweetie, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm fabulous. How are you?
Awesome. So good to catch up with you.
I know. We just watched your story about how you started from Bukom a cow complex and you're filling the Bukom Boxing Arena. Where are you speaking to us from?
Yeah, right now, I'm right here in the state of North Carolina, trying some, foreign comedy clubs, doing some jokes, testing, my Ghanaian jokes on the foreign crowd to see how far I can get with, the crowd work and all those stuff. So I'm out here hustling.
What happened to your accent? Anyway, a little bit told me that you're trying to venture into the American comedy market. Is that what took you to America?
Yeah, I'm trying to do that.
Tell us about that.
I'm trying to see a bit of their comedy market, because, it is rife here. Like the comedy market is big, it's huge. Almost every night there's a comedy club happening. There are a lot of things happening, you know what I'm saying? So I've been trying to enter into the market. The only problem is that I got a thick accent. I got a thick Ghanaian accent. So when I speak, they are unable to understand it before the punchline. So it's kind of rough. So that's why I speak like this, sweetie.
Oh, Oberima. Okay. Well, now you're speaking to me in Ghana, so how about we reverse back to the Ghana accent? Tell me, having listened or watched your own story now, what do you think would be the fate of those you've left behind? I mean, you are gone trying to pursue the same career abroad, but how did you leave the comedy industry here in Ghana?
Oh, I have not left the comedy industry in Ghana. I'll be back.
Okay.
I'll be back. Like I said, you know, I am one person who likes to challenge himself. Okay. I started about 3 years ago when I said, oh no, I needed to go beyond the boundaries of Ghana, you understand?
Yeah.
So that others, like I'm also able to explore other markets and see how best I'll fit in these markets, you understand? And so I started with South Africa, I did Rwanda, I've done London, even the States here, I've been here before, but this time I want to keep the work up and see how the hustle goes. So I haven't left the Ghanaian comedy space, and even like there are a lot of like awesome comedians left. You know, there's Lexi, there's Utogo, there's a plethora of comedians. Like the market is big, so if you needed anybody, you could get somebody. So it's not like I've left. I'm still around.
Right. And are you the first person doing this? A Ghanaian stand-up comedian traveling the world, trying to put Ghana on the map? Do we know of any other Ghanaian stand-up comedians doing that?
No, I'm not the first. James Brown has been doing it. James Brown has been selling out some auditoriums in Germany. General Tatia too has been going to Germany.
Right.
Even Augustine Dennis started in Singapore. David Oscar, well, he's a musician now. But the comedians are doing their bits. Like there've been a few. Ojo and Jumo actually went to Kenya to perform. And so like we are spreading our tentacles.
I like that. The industry is thriving. Oberema, my last question to you, what does this all mean to you, and what do you want to be remembered for? I mean, after today, when someone says Obi Amponsa, what do you want the person to remember you for?
I want to be remembered as the guy that brought happiness into the homes of people. The guy that, in spite of all things against him, he thrived. The guy that people said, you shouldn't be a comedian when you're a doctor. He still went ahead and pursued his dreams. I want to be that guy that inspires the young person to pursue his or his dreams as well. So, yeah, I want to bring happiness into people's homes. So at the mention of my name, the first thought that should come into people's minds is happiness. And that's what I aim at doing, especially with this brand of comedy that I do. I also want to be that comedian that didn't fear face, the one that said it as it is, you know, because I believe that comedians are like jesters in the king's court. And ours is to draw attention to what the anomalies going on in our own humorous way. And that is what I do best. And I'm not going to stop, whether it's NPP in power or whether it's NDC in power, or whether it beats your conscience or whoever is listening to the joke is affected. As long as my instincts are right and there's truth in there, we will speak it as it is. So I want to be remembered for the guy that was brave and funny.
Well, thank you so much. Are you still practicing optometry? That's the last bit.
Yeah, very well. Very well. I am still an optometrist. In fact, I plan to make so much money out of comedy that I can put money into doing free eye care for people in the rural areas. That is the end game for me.
Oberema Amponsa, thank you so much for joining us, and I believe we'll continue to tell your story.
Thank you so much too for the feature. Okay, God bless you so much for believing in my craft. God bless you.
God bless you. There is Oberema Amponsa, a young man redefining stand-up comedy in Ghana, and now he's taking it to the global stage, touring the world, trying to put Ghana out there on the map. Well, thank you so much for staying with us. There's still so much more coming your way. We have Benjamin Akakpo's blunt thoughts. We'll get a bit into the conversation on the removal or the appointment of a new IGP, and then E-Corner, all that on the AM show. We'll be right back. Welcome to the Big Story segment on the AM show. Let's take a look at that new appointment. Yesterday, President Mahama appointed COP Yohunu as new IGP. We want to take a look at the work of Dr. George Dampare, the man many tout as having brought a revolution to the police service, and what the future holds for the police service with this new appointment. Ben and I are here to steer the conversations. Ben.
Well, so we're delving into the issues. What does the future hold for the immediate past IGP, Dr. George Dampare? We'll be getting into the details right here. Of course, yesterday we saw that statement from, in fact, the presidency pointing to the fact that COP Yohunu was going to take over as acting IGP moving forward. But we delve into the issues. There have been a number of people from Imani Africa, from Professor Kwesi Enning himself, who have rooted for the current IGP to stay. But what is the position now? Professor Kwesi Enning joins the conversation. He actually delivers bespoke security services, and he was formerly with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. He joins the conversation. Professor Enning, a very good morning to you, sir. I think you would have to unmute for me, Prof. All right, we'll work the connection to try and get Professor Kwesi Enning to actually join the conversation. Prof, if you can hear me, please unmute so we can have this conversation. Can you hear me, Prof? If you can, just say hi. All right, it doesn't appear Professor Enning can hear me as of now. But the latest, President Mahama appoints COP Yohunu as a new IGP. Sweetie, I don't know how did you receive this news? There had been a lot of news over the past few weeks. Oh, he's going, or cool, and then each time would be told it was fake news. Even yesterday, when it emerged, you would see some portals that came with fake news tags and all of that. And then in the evening, we found out that it was actually real.
This man who's coming to replace Dr. George Dampare was appointed by the erstwhile administration. That's the interesting bit for me. If it's an issue of trust, Dr. George Dampare was put there by the NPP government. COP Christian Tete Yohunu was put there by the NPP government as what we were calling Deputy IGP anyway.
Yes.
And now he's going to head that department. I think it's an interesting way for this to play out. But also, we actually thought that he would be maintained. And my mind goes back, and I was saying during the news review that my mind went back to that leaked tape and that plan to remove the IGP because, you know, it didn't appear he was still in bed with
and everything that came.
Yeah, it appears he wasn't still in bed with the NPP, whatever the intentions were for the election. I mean, and so for us to see that, I'm particularly surprised. But I can't wait to see what the stalwarts, the analysts will say on this. Do we have Professor Enning with us?
Yes,
Prof?
I'm here, yes.
Okay, Prof, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning. And we are discussing this new appointment and, you know, like you see there on our slide, it says Dampare Out, Yohunu in. How did the news come to you before we get surgical with the conversation? We know that you're one of those who were petitioning that he be maintained. So how did the news come to you?
No. I didn't petition that Dampare. We petitioned that every appointee in the security services who had not reached the statutory retirement age should not summarily be sent home without just cause. And we're asking the Supreme Court for an interpretation of those presidential powers. There was nothing personal about it. I don't know these security chiefs. Yes, I've met Dampare a couple of times, but this was not Dampare petition.
Well, how would you characterize his tenure? He spent 8 years as IGP. People have so many things to say about him. How would you characterize his leadership of the Ghana Police Service?
Did he serve 8 years?
I believe so. I stand to be corrected.
No, I think he was first appointed as acting in 21. But whatever it is, I mean, from where I sit, I think he brought a human face to the Ghana Police Service. the speed with which he responded to crisis across the country, the human touch that he brought to the service and to the office of the IGP. I mean, I think also we will remember him for crime reduction, the improved performance of the police that we came in touch with in our daily lives. And I think the police officers themselves changed in terms of their attitude to the public, because there was a sense, that there was better discipline and that people would be dealt with were they to flout the rules. So there's a certain basis upon which we can say well done to him. These are interpretational issues. I mean, there's a friend of mine that I've been texting with all morning who says when the news came, there was joyous, response amongst police officers across the country who were dancing with white handkerchiefs. And I asked him, were they dancing because a disciplinarian has left and that now they think it is business as usual? So Dr. Dampare is an individual who evoked strong, diverse feelings amongst people, particularly from within the service. But for ordinary people who were the recipients of the services of the Ghana Police Service, I think most people felt or feel he has done well, that crime has gone down, that the sense of fear that people felt with armed robbery, carjackings and all that, pest, snatching and all that, has reduced. So,
but has it? You as a security analyst, has crime really gone down?
Well, I don't feel threatened as I travel around this country. The statistics tell us that they've gone down somehow. I feel he's putting his best with his people. But we have a culture in this country where when people leave office, then they basically become, shooting targets of falsehoods, of fantastic stories. And I think as a nation, we need to try to move beyond that. If the person has done something wrong and there are facts, why not put it on the table, let the law take its course so that we don't repeat those mistakes. But when you serve your country and people put out all kinds of fantastic stories without any evidence, then I think it does not dignify us as a nation. And that is what I want us to move away from.
And you're actually right. Before Ben comes in, he was appointed in 2021. Ben?
Just a quick thought. What would you remember Dr. George Ekufu Dampare for? What would be your fondest memory of him?
No, I think once more, his humane approach to policing, the speed with which he responded to crisis in communities when individuals had been hurt by his personnel, those I feel were some of my very fondest memories of him. But also his accessibility. I don't think I visited him much more than once. I think just when he had been appointed. But one felt that if on this program, we asked a question that we couldn't answer and said, look, we hope that the IGP would give me an answer, that he will get one of his staff officers to actually provide that answer to you. So there was a certain accessibility. And I like his stiff, ramrod, personality. That I think sent a message of seriousness and of discipline. So I think he has done well for his service and he has done well for his country.
Mm. In terms of what he's added to the police service, some also say, and I have been on platforms with some security, professionals, of course, I cannot speak to everything they said, but some say his was more of PR policing, public relations policing, rather than actual policing from the administrative standpoint of things. And one of the things that has come up has to do with the fact that some people who were due for promotion were not promoted. And I mean, I've followed discussions on different such conversations. Others say, yes, out there he was doing so much, but within the police service, there were major problems. How do you react to such comments?
Promotions. Let me start with promotions or recruitment and promotions. In 1986, Commissioner Tibiru was tasked by Mr. Rawlings to do an assessment of recruitment and promotions in the Ghana Police Service. Tibiru's conclusion, and I quote, was that people in the service were capable of falsifying documents, certificates, transcripts to such an extent that it was not possible to differentiate between the forgery and the genuine document. The Archer Commission report, or I think from 1991 or so, also made a similar statement with respect to the difficulties that the service has with respect to promotions. The Ghana Police Service is as a hierarchical statutory security service. It's expected, of course, after X number of years to get promoted and off you go to the next rank. There has been a problem with people who take extra advanced training without the permission of the service and unknown to the service. Coming back and saying, look, I've gone to school X to get a BA, an MSc, or a PhD, so promote me. In the appointments of the service, probably they don't need a PhD to fill that rank. But because you went to school privately, and in taking that education, it was not factored into what rank you will get when you complete, then you cannot flout the law to get an advanced degree, come back and say, here I come with this type of degree, please put me up there. Now, when different IGPs have refused to accept these qualifications, it has led to accusations of favoritism. You've promoted somebody with an HND, BA over and above somebody with 5 masters. But the service knows what qualifications it wants for a particular position, and therefore either grooms or promotes people gradually to fill that. So if you flout the rules, and you get your private education, then the service cannot accept it. And I think when people, fall foul of their own institutional regulations, then they make up all kinds of fantastic stories. I think you and I have had this conversation several times, that those who have evidence of Dr. Dampare's foibles should send it to us. And Dr. Dampare himself knows this. And occasionally when we speak, he used to tease me that I know you very well. Anything you get about me, you will even consult me, you will take it to your efforts straight ahead, and we will laugh about it. So I've always challenged people, if you have something, bring it. I think my friends at Joy will be quite happy for us to discuss and let's resolve the problem. 3.5 to 4 years, not once did anybody present credible evidence. Now I'm seeing things about that his certificate was fake, his age, he has taken some money from the escrow account in Bank of Ghana. Let's get the evidence. And if the evidence is there, let's go to a court of competent jurisdiction. But it should be possible to serve this country. And when you serve it, we say thank you. And off you go. I mean, I've been following. My 91-year-old mother called me this morning and said, oh, she had been listening to, I think, the newspaper reviews or something. And the headlines, Dampare booted out, sagged, blah, 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 blah. But the statement from the presidency was very clear, very simple, very straight to the point. Okay, after serving 3 to 4 years in statutory security institutions, they themselves don't have a problem because they know the day you are appointed, okay, that maximum 2.5 to 3 years, you will be on your way out. Okay, so psychologically, they are prepared for this.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I have a plethora of questions for you, but I'll let Sweetie Abochi come through, and then I'll continue from where I'm leaving off now.
Right. Well, I'm just I'm listening to you. I know that the metrics go beyond arrest rates and promotion and all that. In terms of the use of force, there were many incidents where the police engaged civilians in ways that raised controversies, right? How would you say that he handled that in terms of use of force for problem solving? Look at all the demonstrations that, we saw under his tenure. There were, I don't want to use the word brutality, but the police engaged civilians in a way that was not very pleasant. How would you assess the police's use of force in problem solving under IGP, former IGP now, Dr. George Dampare? Yeah.
I think probably that was one area that we can improve and we should improve. But let me also say that riot control has been one of the biggest problems for every single IGP. If you look at all the commissions of inquiry, right from 1967, when I think the first inquiry relating to riot control, to the Okujeto report around the stadium disaster, we need to focus on crowd control. But let me also say this. Because if you ask my age group, we did a lot of aluta in the 80s, a lot of them. When you have a permit to demonstrate, it does not also inure to your own aims for demonstrating to necessarily goad the security services or the police service. They are trained to restrain themselves, but they are also humans. So I think there's a synergistic relationship here. We've gotten a permit to demonstrate. We follow the route. We sing our songs. We hold our placards, and not necessarily seek to provoke. I think there have been several instances. If we were to show the video where people have been extremely provocative. Nevertheless, because of the training that we ought to have given to the police service in riot control or crowd control, then they should be able to control themselves much better. So that certainly is one area that IGP will need to work on, because the demonstrations will continue to come. And I think we need to find a way of improving police civil relations much better. Much better.
I want to stay on the assessment on one last point in terms of access to information. It appears under his tenure, information was, the flow of information was rather centralized. Things could happen in a district, and you go to the district police offices, and they can't tell you anything. They'll refer you back to the, the headquarters for information. Would you say that helped the image of the police service and boosted confidence in the populace? Because I think one of the metrics that we can be measuring, his work by is community trust. Would you say the way that information flow was centralized under Dr. George Akuffo Dampare's time did good for us as a country?
So I think there are two aspects to your question. One is information management, and the second is community trust. I think the community trust really improved in the last 4 years. I think the next Afrobarometer report from his tenure when he was appointed, probably until when he left, might probably show a slight improvement in public perceptions of the Ghana Police Service. The second is the information flow. I don't know the rationale for the centralization. So I agree with you that it was only from headquarters, that statements would be issued. But there may be a historicity to this. I think just when he took over, there were few instances where there were multiple statements about one incident that gave different facts. I think there have been a few cases. And that then led to this centralization of the information flow. But probably this raises a much bigger question about the role of the headquarters management team in discussing and assessing what has been introduced and the effectiveness and impact of that. I know my friends tell me that, oh, this is a hierarchical institution, and when the boss says this is where we should go, then we all go. Probably two institutions must begin to play a more active role here. One is the police council. Because if the three of us right now, know that the over-centralization of information flow might have led to certain gaps at the district, are we saying that the police council that plays the oversight role and the Parliamentary Committee on Defense, Interior and Intelligence did not know this? Okay, I think it's important as a new IGP comes in that whatever mistakes and weaknesses we found the last 4 years are looked at so that the lessons from that can help the new IGP very quickly in ensuring that whatever bottlenecks are there are cleared up. I think sometimes our capacity to speak to power is very weak. And I think here, the headquarters management team, even PIPS, the professional standards group, and then the police council and the parliamentary committees have all failed.
Ben.
Just a thought that ran through my mind. When Kwame Nkrumah, the Osajifo, was ousted, there were those who danced and sang and made merry. Looking at where we've got to. And I saw some videos, like you mentioned, purportedly, of police officers dancing and celebrating. But setting that aside, from the presidency, I would think that maybe they are privy to some security intelligence issues that, of course, not maybe, they will be, that we do not know. Does it rationalize this decision to oust Dr. Dampare?
Look, the president has the prerogative to make these choices. What makes Dr. Dampare's departure, and probably a talking point that might go on for another day or so, were all the rumors around today he's going, tomorrow he's staying. And I'm saying, look, and I think some pastors were even preaching in their church or churches, but why is the man staying? What is it about this single individual that generated so much excitement as to his departure? So whether then they were privy or they are privy to some information, which I think they will be naturally, the process of ushering out someone who has served X number of years in that capacity must be done with a certain level of decorum, so that it sends a message to those who aspire to occupy that position, that I will serve well, and when it's time for me to move on, it will be done with all the decorum that comes. And I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in the afternoon, the president or another very senior person might have invited Dr. Dampare over to the house. They may have had a cup of tea, the information passed on, a letter formally given to him. He would have saluted very briskly. The president would have thanked him. He would have also thanked the president for the honor to serve the Republic of Ghana. And then that is just it. It's now up to the three of us and our other friends to then assess, his tenure and how whatever positives or gaps remain, we can use that to help the new IGP. Right. This is about serving the people of Ghana and ensuring that, buffeted on all sides by violence, we can still continue our struggles to remain an island of stability.
Right. I mean, in a way, these kinds of situations also remind you of the passing of the torch when it comes to the Black Stars and the captaincy. You remember all the way from Tony Bafo, Abedi Pele, Tony Yabua, and the whole till today, even as we talk about Dede Ayew and, when he took over from Asamoah and now how it has been handled moving on from there, Thomas Partey and down to Kudus, who is now the fourth captain. But does politics play a role in all of this? Is it about how effective the person is, or is it about there's a change in government and the IGP must change?
I think it is the latter, and that is what we sought the reliefs from the Supreme Court to interpret. Whether it is just the politics that drives the decision and the choices that are made, or it is about the professionalism, the competence, the capacity to deliver for the government of the day and also for the people of Ghana. I think for now, it looks as if the politics has won over and above the professionalism and the meritocracy.
Right. We also have joining the conversation, please hold for us, Prof. Oliver Mause Baka Vomawo. He is, of course, an activist. He's with Democracy Hub. He joins the conversation. Oliver, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Bridget. How are you doing?
It's good to have you join the conversation. I hope you're well.
I appreciate it. I'm well as well.
All right. How did you receive the news? Dr. Dampare being replaced by COP Ono, now the acting IGP.
I mean, the truth is this has been a badly kept secret. The conversations around, COP Dampare have been ongoing for time in terms of assessment of the performance.
Oliver, I think you would have to move a little and speak up for me. There's a bit of a problem hearing you.
Let me try again. Yeah, hello?
Yes, I think this is better.
So I was saying that the conversations around COP upgrades and out the conversations that very the views capacity to lead through. Things that are going
Oliver, it's still problematic. I don't know what it is, but we really need to get what you're saying. But so please try and move again. If it doesn't work, then we may have to resolve some of the technical issues before we come back to you. Let's try one more time. Move a bit, and let's try again. If not, we'll have to try to reconnect. Oliver, let's try this again.
I keep hearing myself for some reason, so I don't know whether that is there any confirm what I think? No, then maybe
I can hear you louder now, but it's still halting, which means Oliver, do this for me. Hold. My technical team will try to resolve the issues.
Okay, no problem.
And then we'll come back to you. So politics in there, Prof. You were just mentioning, which is why you took the matter to court. Imani Africa, you as Professor Enning, I think this was back in March 2024. Is that correct?
Yeah.
March 2024. April. Okay.
April.
And as part of what you sought, so I think Franklin Kujo mentioned the key argument, you were asking the Apex Court, that is the Supreme Court, to issue a declaration that upon a true and proper interpretation of the letter and spirit of Articles 200, 2021, 2022, 2023, 205, 2071, 2072, it goes on and on, all the way to 269 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana. The President of the Republic of Ghana has no authority to terminate the appointments or remove from office heads of the agencies unless only upon proven stated misconduct or behavior. Why this angle?
Because, if you read the whole thing, we also have examples in there where people who were not up to 60 years, without any adverse findings, had basically been sent home because the government had changed. So we thought, look, could we test this and see if we can elevate our security governance and the protection of tenure with an interpretation from the Supreme Court. So that was basically just to improve security governance in this country and to ensure that when people are appointed and they have not failed in the delivery of their service to the Republic of Ghana and the government, that they should not summarily be settled.
So you were pushing the constitutional boundaries. Are you then disappointed that even before that case could be dealt with, because I hear it was due to be finally some verdict to be given by the Supreme Court in May, and ahead of that, the president has relieved Dampare of his duties. Are you disappointed?
No, because the president cannot wait in perpetuity. Immediately, the Council of State was sworn in. I knew that this could happen because the president, needs to complete forming his team. So it's not the president who ought to have waited, but probably the Supreme Court that ought to have given judgment much earlier on.
Okay.
Well, but Prof, I'm just curious, does this affect your petition then? You said it's not a Dampare thing, but he's part of the people, the category of people that How does it affect your petition? Yeah.
Well, I don't want to speculate, but it may be probable that there may be more changes before the 7th of May. And I wouldn't blame the president for it. Institutions take their time to do what they want to do. It is not in my power or might to say speed up the process. This is a bigger conversation.
Yeah.
And irrespective of what comes out on the 7th of May, I think we've all learned some lessons. We've all got access to some new knowledge. And I think it's only a matter of time that somebody else or another group of people decide that, let's take it up and see what happens.
All right. Please hold for us.
Yeah.
Let's try and get Oliver Bakavomo's thoughts as well. Oliver, thanks for joining us. Hopefully the connection is clear this time. You were making a point. Please go ahead on your thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was talking about how the conversation about the removal of Dampare, COP Dampare from office, has been one of the kept in the street. The truth is the conversation assessing his competence and his capacity to lead it. Lingering questions about truth morale have been there even before the new president was sworn in. And I think it's important that we give grace to the new president as well in understanding or not portraying the decision as only being, as one being partisan. It's a political decision, but let us necessarily say that it was not made in complete disregard of the competence or professionalism or work ethic of COP Dampare. These are important decisions that are taken. The evaluations, and I know that a number of people were spoken to, and several things went into the consideration. Now, of course, there are certain COP Dampare had friends, and friends who are not involved in the decision making, who are not involved in assessing his leadership in a way which is unbiased and impartial, who then have gone on rampage suggesting that this was the best mark since sliced bread, and that this is the monumental mistake that we're making as a republic. Come on, we need a bit of grace when we're having this conversation. Now, it is not an individual view of him. Of course, my information that I'm privy to, and particularly in terms of how the police intelligence department that he created have been operating with impunity, I feel indicted. That's not my decision to make. The assessment has been taken and is no longer there. But I agree that we need to have a holistic conversation about the independence of the security agencies and how we secure that. I am not of the view or the myopic approach that suggests that the only way to this conversation is that securing the security of tenure of the top man or woman in the job solves the problem. It doesn't. There are operational conversations that need to be looked at more holistically. This is a problem of the constitutional design that needs constitutional rethinking, I believe. In 2010, 2011, when we were in Constitutional Review Commission, we looked at these issues extensively, set up a revamped framework for how we can secure the independence of this institution. That has been put on the back burner. Gracefully, we are back again in the process, and there's a committee in place. I think we need to go back to that process. But let us not pretend that the questions around the independence of these institutions has already been answered by the 1992 Constitution. We are being disingenuous if we do that. The constitutional framework is weak to be able to ensure this. So if this is coming back, we must see it as an inviting us to re-engage the process and engage the constitutional questions that is at the heart of the problems that we have witnessed in terms of making them more independent, in the hope that they become more effective. Because independence necessarily does not imply effectiveness. And if they are ineffective when we have made them independent, then there have to be fail-safe mechanisms if we don't want the presidency involved in that decision-making. That the police, either the police itself, whether it's POMAC or the police council, are involved in the process by which, leadership problems are corrected within the system. So I'm interested in a more broader holistic approach than the over-centralization of the conversation over COP Dampare.
Right. Oliver, Ben, unless you want to go to Oliver, we should be wrapping up now. But I want us to speak about COP Onutu a bit. Prof, Oliver, please hold for us. Prof, before we go, we've spoken about Dr. George Akuffo Dampare. What are your thoughts on his replacement?
Oliver just mentioned. I think Oliver makes this good point. Now, look, this is beyond individual. This is about the institutions or the institutions involved, and it's a constitutional process or it's a constitutional question. So I think an excessive focus on an individual or the individuals occupying the positions, I think misses the point of the broader argument. I think Mr. Yohonu's marching orders have been given in the press statement that was issued. I think there are two words there. One is about transformation and the other...
Modernization.
Modernization, yes. Both transformation and modernization have been ongoing processes. The first starting with IGP Paul Quay's first issuing of a strategic plan for the Ghana Police Service. Then we have IGP Al Hassan following that with his disability team, IGP who came with the transformation agenda, I forgot his name. But almost every IGP seeks or attempts to do these two things, to modernize and to transform and to make the Ghana Police Service much more effective. So Mr. Yohonu will seek to continue that. I think it is up to all of us to continue that engagement with him and his new team as they respond to the ever-changing security dynamics in Ghana and around us. It's going to be a difficult job, but we all need to continue to stay for the long run.
Very, very, very quickly, Prof, in some less than a minute, some of these dynamics remind me of some aspects of Peter Namfuri. May his soul rest in peace. But Sweetie has asked you about IGP Yohonu now. How about IGP Dampare, former IGP Dampare? My interest is, when these people leave such positions, how do we tap into their expertise as a country going forward? Some of them have ended up on the Council of State, but should we have a better way of utilizing their know-how? Just quick thoughts on that, and we're gone.
Well, I think the security institutions have this culture where you leave the scene and it's the new person who is, in inverted commas, enjoying his command or her command. So they really they themselves don't like coming within the space. So probably, I haven't thought very much about it, but I know that when they leave the scene, they hardly ever want to come back.
Anyway.
Still on that, the statesman didn't clarify where he goes now, and he's not 60 yet. If you were to make an educated guess, where does the road take him now? What happens to him?
No, he goes home.
Out of the service?
Out of the service, he's retired and goes home, And that is why the previous question is very important. He's 54, he's got all this experience. How can we tap into that experience to help the new person? Right. Maybe it might not be direct, but the police council can consult him, the parliamentary committees can consult him, certainly civil society groups working on policing, law enforcement, public order.
Right.
But as such, when Mr. Yohonu is sworn in, he's a retired man.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. We're joined by Professor Kwesi Enning. He delivers bespoke security services. He's formerly of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. We also had Oliver Mausebaka Vomawo, who is an activist and a lawyer. Both of them joined us for this conversation. The rest of it is up to you to decide. But shortly, I'll be delivering my blunt thoughts, and I'll be sharing it on the title, Focus on Budget 2025 and SOEs, the salient matters to take stock of. We'll be back. Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for me to serve you my blunt thoughts. And I've titled it, Budget 2025 and SOEs, the salient matters to take stock of. Budget 2025 and SOEs, the salient matters to take stock of. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unpack the issues, some of the crucial issues when it comes to Budget 2025, and then we'll talk about state-owned enterprises and where they feature in the midst of all of this. So come with me. If you look at the 2024 fiscal performance, overall expenditure as per the budget, this is the figure we were given, 279.2 billion Ghana cedis. That's the figure we're contemplating. But then if you look at the overall budget deficit, what we said we would do versus what we actually did, which is where always the devil is, the detail, sticking to principle, right? Budgeted 42.5 billion Ghana cedis as a deficit. The reality, the actuals, 92.6 billion. If you work out the difference, that's 50.1 billion, which means that shot up by 117%. Because look, 42.5 to 92.6, and you have the deficit there. This is one of our core problems, and that's why oftentimes we have the situation we end up in, because we can't even meet our budgets, even in terms of deficits. But then you look at the overall budget deficit as well, and per the primary balance, that's in the negative, 45.8 billion. The IMF target was 5 billion. You see how far we have gone from righteousness, how far we have fallen from fiscal righteousness, if you like. That's the tail of the tape. And that explains, as you walk along with me, why we are where we are. But going to the next slide. Then you would look at, in terms of dealing with the economy, because it's always interesting, politics and how we handle it, but what's in a name, right? You look at those that have been cancelled per the budget, one district, one factory. Now we are looking at a national apprenticeship program. You Start, now we have a Jumara program. Ghana Cares, now we are talking about a Feed Ghana program. And Go for Oil, but now we have a gold board. The question, are these going to change anything from these? One district, one factory. Some would speak in some sectors about how much work it did, but generally, did it yield the results that we, you and I, would have wanted it to yield? So is it just a change in name, or is it more effectiveness, more efficiency, better for the ordinary Ghanaian? Now, if you go to the next slide, then we take a look at the Bank of Ghana, because in looking at our economy and how far we've fallen into debt and everything in between, you cannot take out the Bank of Ghana, which is now asking for a bailout of 53 billion Ghana cedis. But look there's an interesting trajectory, right? From 2008 to 2016, you notice a certain trend of staying in the black, making profits, if you like. 342 million, 295, and it goes on and on. 1.5 billion around 2012, 2013, which was a pretty tidy sum. Then 2016, 1 billion. In fact, this is 2015. 2016, 709 million. Then in 2017, we take a dip of 1.6 billion. We claw up a bit, go to 793 million, and then we stay in the black, 1.8 billion, 1.6 billion, 1.2 billion up to 2021. And then you have the pitfalls showing after COVID-19, after massive lending by government went into the red by 60.8 billion Ghana cedis. And then the latest figure, 10.5 billion in 2023. Next slide. Which then brings us to the equity position, right, of the central bank. 2019, 1.6 billion, 2020, 3.7 billion, 2021, 5.1 billion, and then in 2022, in the negative, 55 billion in the negative, 2023, 66 billion in the negative. Part of why the central bank is where it is. Now, they're calling, like I said, for a 53 billion Ghana cedi bailout. But will their call be heard? And what is the quid pro quo? What will have to go for them to benefit? The finance minister has been speaking. He's spoken about alternative recapitalization options. And some of what he's proposing, lease the new headquarters. We paid, what, $250+ million for that? He says, lease it. If you're not going to use all of it, lease it. Cut expenditure and reduce your events. Events at which, you remember back then we heard that, board members of the central bank were doing this and that. These were the perks board. Can we cut some of those down? Those are options. And then sell some assets as ways of reducing cost, clawing back some money, and taking care of your equity problems. Next slide. But then I also want to talk about, of course, we're staying on the budget, right? The talk about the betting tax and everything in between. Former Finance Minister Dr. Amin Adam said, quote, betting tax that they said they have abolished, we never collected betting tax. So to come and tell Ghanaians that you have abolished something that you have not implemented is to deceive the people of Ghana. Who is being deceptive? Let's go to the next slide. Shall we do the next slide? And if you go to the next slide, you would actually find out some of the dynamics when it comes to the MPP's manifesto, because then in that manifesto, what was said was that the MPP government will implement wide-ranging tax reforms and abolish the betting tax. So the question is, if there were no betting tax, what was Dr. Bawumia, had he become president, what was he going to abolish? You read between the lines. But if you then look at a breakdown of revenue raked in from withholding tax on winnings, on the betting tax, this is what we were given. 2023, 51.3 million Ghana cedis. And in 2024, 147.76 million Ghana cedis. And these are in the record books. They can be checked. Next slide. If you look at pay as you earn, 15.86 million, it goes on and on. Withholding, there's a missing H here. Our apologies for that. Withholding tax, 46.13 million. Corporate income tax. And then pay attention to the red, section. Withholding tax on winnings, 147.76 million Ghana cedis. And it goes on and on. How did all of this apply? Next slide. So if you look at that component I was highlighting, the total revenue raked in from withholding tax on winnings was 199.06 million Ghana cedis. If you go to the next slide. Shall we go to the next slide? Then you would have Atoforsen and Setekwe speak on the betting tax situation, what they came and met from the books. I don't think Amin is on top of that matter because my checks revealed that the betting tax was implemented in the second half of 2024. The government of Ghana has collected over 80 million Ghana cedis from betting tax, so I don't know what he's talking about. But what does former finance minister and now presidential advisor on the economy, Setekwe, say? Let's go to that slide. He says the minority should go to the Commissioner General, and this is instructive because it's the GRA we are talking about. The Commissioner General, because they passed the law on betting tax, referencing them to the Ghana Revenue Authority, which in itself had claimed that there had been some returns back in 2024. And then, where I want to wrap the conversation, we've all been talking about state-owned enterprises and how some of them are failing. Not all. No one said all of them were failing. But we need all of them to be in the black, to be above board, so that we can make profits. Because if you're not making any returns, what are you there for? Let's face it. So the president says, loss-making SOEs will no longer be tolerated. They will be swiftly reformed, merged, privatized, or shut down. Pay attention to those words. Reformed, merged, privatized, or shut down. We may not be so clear what reformed may mean. Merged, we may have an idea. Privatized, we may have an idea. And of course, shut down, we all understand what that means. But next slide. Again, your performance, he has directed this to some youth who are members of his administration, but also the SOEs. Your performance will determine whether you continue in your roles when we review progress in 2026. I like this word review because every year you have to look at the output, and if it's simply not working, you must go. The Ghanaian people deserve better and will not accept mediocrity. If you are not prepared to be part of the reset, now is the time to walk out. It's tough talk, and I think it's high time the SOEs lift up to such expectations. It is what it is. Now, some of the industries that could be on the chopping board in a way, I'm not saying they are going or anything, but my final two slides, you have ECG there with its debt stock that we're all aware of. There's Gridco VRA Tema Shipyard. Interesting, right? We had the Black Star Line and everything just went bonkers. Now, it's more foreign control than anything, over 95%. Tema Shipyard, Ghana Railway Limited, and then the final batch of 5 that we have there as well. Next slide. The Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Limited, Gihog Distilleries, Precious Minerals Marketing Company, that's the PMMC, the Accra Digital Center, and Airtel Tigo Ghana. As we talk about our budget and the way forward for our companies and all of that, we must pay attention to all of these because some of them are simply siphoning. They are like leeches, draining our financial blood and not giving us anything in return. So the question then is, what do we do with them? Merge, Privatize, shut down, review, reform. What do you think? Anyway, these are my blunt thoughts that I have shared with you. Always, I share them and leave you to decide what to think. I've served them raw, hot, unedited, undiluted. May God bless Ghana, as we always pray, and make her great and strong. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back on the AM show. Let's talk about the Emerge Us conference. In the studio with me to get this conversation going is Dr. Angela Harris, and she's the founder and leader of Black I Am International Awards. Welcome to the program, Doc.
Thank you so much.
I want to get to know you a little bit before we talk about the Emerge Us conference. Who is Dr. Angela Harris? I've read a rich profile about you. I know that you're a highly influential leader, educator with, profound impact across the African diaspora. You're into music, writing, arts, and all that. You have the Black I Am, awards and all. But I want you to tell me, how do you normally introduce yourself to people you just meet?
So, Dr. Angela Harris, Angela, Dr. Harris, all the same person.
Okay.
First and foremost, a woman of God, a daughter of promise, someone who understands what purpose is, on purpose, in purpose, making sure that that same information that I've acquired through my relationship with the Father above is spread to those who need that information as well about themselves. So a life coach, business coach, educator, activists, all of these things are a part of who I am and who I've become over the years.
Okay.
So
I hope our audience can see that we are matching our boo-boo today.
Yes, yes.
What is Black I Am? What is it about? I know you mentioned activists. I'm sure that's something in there, right?
Not quite.
No? Okay.
Black is not a color, it's an acronym. So it's B period, L period, A period, C period, K period. I am is I period, A period, M period.
Okay.
Black I Am stands for beautiful, living ancestors, controlling kingdom. I am is irreplaceable, amazing melanin. Beautiful because God judges you by your heart. So even if you look in the mirror every day and you see your outer appearance, if the inner beauty is not radiating throughout, then you're still not a beautiful person, knowing that God judges us by our heart. A living ancestor, LA, meaning that God said, let the dead bury the dead. So we're not focusing on those who are no longer here. We're focusing on the accountability that we have for those to come and those who are. So a living ancestor is the light that shines within you that leads people to the light instead of leading them to darkness. Controlling your kingdom is your divine God-given purpose that was predestined for you before life even existed, knowing that if you're not walking in that purpose, you're only existing, you're not living. And then irreplaceable, because everywhere that you go, you're going to find God's people. Amazing, because if you look at all the creative things, you know that we cannot create without the Creator. And the melanin in our skin, which is our DNA to the Father, is what keeps us all connected all over the world. So it's unity.
That is powerful.
Amen.
Yeah, I see what you mean by you do everything, educator, activist, all of it. I mean, let's talk about Emerge Us conference. What is the intention behind it before we get into the details? What is the theme? What do you do at Emerge
Okay, so the theme for the Emerge Us conference is we have to make Africa great again. Actually, we have an artist that is from Jamaica. He's a reggae artist. His name is Bingy Blaze. He was one of my previous honorees, and he's just an amazing guy. And he created a song called Africa Great Again, which is my theme. I understand. See, the Black I Am International Awards have been in the United States for 9 years now. There has been several people, dignitaries, people in politics, people of the cloth that have come to America to just be a part of my international awards show. But the Father showed me that because of a lot of the things that's going on in the world, we have to bring it to Africa. Now, Africa Great Again is because me living in the United States, people living in the United States, we see the value of Africa if our eyes are open. But a lot of people in Africa don't even see that value, to know that Africa is the most resourceful place. And I believe that from the enlightenment that I've received through the Holy Spirit, that those who are last will be first and those who are first will be last. Africa was first. The first creations that you have has an account was here in the motherland. And then when it says in Revelations 22:12 and 13, behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to every man according to what his work shall be. I'm the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. You see that first and that last, it still comes back to where we are right now in Africa. So Africa has to become great again. The resources here, even the song Africa Great Again, it tells you, don't look at the Europeans, right. Don't look at the Chinese, don't look at the Americans, look at what you have right here in Africa and know that Africa is the place that God has brought his favor to.
Wow. So where is this happening? I know it's from the 17th to the 18th of April.
No, actually it's the 17th to the 19th. 17th
to 19th of April this year?
Yes.
UPSC Auditorium?
Yes.
Okay. Who's invited? Is it open to
everyone?
Okay.
Everyone. So day one is an entertainment gala.
Okay.
So I believe that when you come together in beauty. Come and show yourself as beautiful people, you know, that over the diaspora that we are. We're going to bring in my brother. His name is Kevin Cates. Most people know him. He's a multi-platinum record producer. He's produced over 30 million copies of #1 hit albums for all of the big artists in America. He has repositioned himself. That's what I want to say. To understand that his gift is not for their industry, but his gift is to help God's people, especially the men. See, a lot of times we focus on the women, but we don't focus on the men's mental health, but the men are the head of our households. And a lot of times their mental health is what causes either the separation of a family or the togetherness of family. So my brother has come up with an 18-song album it's called the Humen, Humen project. And it deals strictly with men's mental health through hip hop. It's really dope.
Can't wait to listen to it.
Oh, no, it's going to be a part of the conference. And the Humen project, what he did is so genius. He took every song and did a video for it. During the writer's block, 18 months in Hollywood, all of the royalties and all of that stuff they had to stop. No money coming in. He's been married for 20-something years. The wife didn't understand how things could be put on hold like that. He went through a whole bunch at home. This 18-album song shows how a man goes through things and how when he moves, he doesn't take time out to think about things of the past. But when he settles down, how even the things of his childhood start coming back up and how it starts affecting him. So this song, what we do is we have a whole panel and he takes the videos. He lets you see the videos and then people break it apart in a panel. It's really amazing.
So this is going to happen during the conference?
Oh, the first day of the conference.
So you did mention that there's a gala. And what's happening?
It's an entertainment gala.
Okay.
So we have other artists from Ghana. We have artists from Nigeria. We have artists coming in from Jamaica. We have a comedian coming in from the U.S. You know, just different things.
Please add some Ghanaian comedians too.
Okay, we're looking for some too. So if you have any recommendations,
yes, I know a lot of them. I'll get in touch with them and get them to you. So what are some of the other activities that will be happening between 17th and 19th?
Okay, so the next day after we get the entertainment portion out of the way, now it's the spirit. Because see, our whole mission is spirit-tainment and edutainment by the way of entertainment. So the next day we have the Black Kings and Queens Worldwide Summit in the morning time. The summit is the education part, the spirit-tainment part. The Emergence Conference is an emergence of spiritual enrichment as well as economic enrichment. It's for the leaders of this nation, of this world.
Okay.
And so that night we'll have the induction for those who will be inducted into the Black Kings and Queens Worldwide, which that is only, all of the Black Kings and Queens Worldwide is something very big, but something very small. It's the movers and the shakers of God's kingdom that understand that your divine purpose is your accountability until death.
How do you participate? Is it free to all? Is it, do you just walk in? Do you have to register? How does it work?
There's actually a registration. There's tickets that will be sold. The next day is the Black I Am International Awards. Yeah. So after we actually have the first day, which is the entertainment gala, then we have the summit next. And then the next day is the actual award show that everybody has been ranting and raging about for the last 9 years. So we're still looking for honorees. We give out the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award from the White House. I have my own award that I've created over time that's ranting and raging. It's called the Black House Award, Us Honoring Us. And then we also have honorary doctorates that's available to people who actually deserve it. So we're still looking for the honorees to, you know, come on board to become a part of the Black I Am International Awards. We, our tickets are sold through VIP Socio, which is another one of a partner of mine. That everywhere I go all over the world, they do the ticket sales, and they actually offer a marketplace as well as an influencers platform for free.
Okay.
So
if, in case someone wants to contact you for more information, just to get in touch with you, the organization, the whole conference, is there a number to call? But before you put out the number, I know you came here with a message to invite our audience to attend. So I'll give you the last 20, 30 seconds to tell us that message. And then at the end, you can give us a number to call. That's your camera.
Ghana, if you're ready for the change of your life, if you're ready to become who you were already predestined to be in the midst of those who are like-minded, come to the Emergence Conference. The Emergence Conference are the movers and shakers of this world that will make Africa great again. Africa needs a transformation. We are here to resurrect. Knock, knock. We're coming on into Ghana. We also go to Nigeria, and we'll be going all over Africa with the same mission. But Ghana is first. So
of course we are first.
Yeah, feel privileged. Feel privileged.
Please give us the contact. Is there a number or social media handles? How do we get in touch with you?
Yes, my name is Dr. Angela Harris. WhatsApp is 404 404 944 8544. That's +1 404 944 8544. Social media, Dr.-Angela Harris Facebook, Dr._Angela_Harris on Instagram. Dr. Kelly Daniels, who is a relationship and family counselor here. He is actually the conference overseer. So he's over Love Nation. OK Entertainment, who is also someone here in Ghana that's doing some really amazing things. They're all a part of the conference. We don't bring things to Ghana without adding Ghanaians involved.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Angela Harris. She's the founder and leader of Black I Am International Awards, and they're organizing the Emerge Us Conference from the 17th to the 19th of April 2025 at UPSA Auditorium. Don't miss it. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Right, coming up next, we're serving you E-Corner, anchored by Noella. Stay tuned. Hey, listen, we are excited, are we not? Well, you're welcome to another brilliant edition of your favorite E-Corner right here on AM Show on the Joy News channel. I'm Noella Carinielli, your favorite tea brewer, or should I say scooper or server, whatever you want to place on me. I'm good. Listen, this week has been politically heavy. I mean, we have the finance minister come to share with us our budget, what we're going to be dealing with for the next 1 year. But the entertainment industry has also been, you know, they've been working. They've been busy brewing a lot of teas. I mean, this week I saw a lot of matcha lattes. I saw cappuccinos. I saw green teas. I saw chocomilo. I saw Ovaltine. I saw Milo. All of them teas. And I have scooped all of it, as you expect me to. And I am prepared and ready to serve you with the hottest, okay? And so, coming up, I've got an update on the Julieta Sante NFA saga. Yeah, contrary to what she claimed last week, remember? Turns out she was actually given a car and an office. And a former deputy minister has been spilling some tea on her. Well, details are coming up, so you should stay tuned with me, okay? I also have an unfortunate update on actress Jocelyn Duma. Remember last week I shared news about her purported appointment as Deputy Diaspora Affairs Director? Well, ce n'est pas vrai, like the French would say. But I got concrete updates on that, as well as her appointment holding on. Is it fading or has it completely faded out? I guess we'll see. Plus, a certain gospel musician has been changing her housing. Hallelujah, everybody. Hallelujah. Come on, guys, work with me. Hallelujah, everybody. And as expected of her music, people want to know, was her decision led by the Spirit? Or as usual, did the streets win? The tea, honey, is piping hot. Also, Sarah Cordier, Yvonne Nelson, memoir. Somebody say updates. Oh, come on, guys. What are you doing to me? Updates. Oh, this is the part where I go, somebody call the popo. But anyway, I'll be sharing those details with you as well. And guess what? King Charles apparently listens to High Life. Interesting, isn't it? Did you know that? Did you know that, blood? I bet you didn't know. And so get ready. Let me get my, my UK accent, Yeah, get ready, because when we come back, I'll be serving you some tea, and baby, you will be sipping. Right after this. It's still E-Corner, and now I am ready. I am poised to serve you. Are your teacups ready? Are they ready? If they're not, get it ready, because I'm about to serve. Anyway, we're going to start with Juliet Asante, the outgone executive director, or should I say secretary, I should say, of the National Film Authority, NFA. You remember last week I brought you a story about her, reflecting or sharing with us her reflection of her tenure, okay, what has happened during her 4 years of being in office as the executive secretary. And she revealed some very jaw-dropping information, to us. She talked about how she had to face sexual harassment, talked about how she wasn't given a car, an official car, which is like the most basic thing, right? Because if you are asking me to lead a firm, a government firm, definitely you have to give me an office. It's like the most basic thing, an office and a car. And she said when she was appointed, all of these things weren't made available for her. And she made a whole lot of allegations as well that I'm not ready to get into, because I dedicated last week to getting into this story proper. And so if you missed out on it, well, that's your loss. But anyway, I have an update for you on this story, and I told you that I was going to keep my tabs on it, on this particular story, and so I have an update on the story for you, and it's coming from the former deputy tourism and arts minister, Honorable. I would like to call him Honorable. Some people believe that he's no more an honorable, but I would like to call him an honorable. So Honorable Okwekumante has been spilling some tea on her, and according to him, Juliet Asante was actually given a pickup vehicle, in his words, a pickup vehicle in 2021. I'm not saying this. And so let's hear from the horse's own mouth.
Juliet, Yasanto Akachire, Omanpeyi John Mahama say, Oma Kafu Danku office.
But they have an office.
Oma ne car.
She has a car.
On pese obema kafu. Oma Kafu Danku ye juma woni fie. Juliet
was given a car in 2021 or 2022. One pickup. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Juliet. Juliet had a car. that pickup was an official car.
Yes.
I saw it. I saw it, but I didn't know it's an official car.
You the board, you don't know.
No.
Julian, because I know you using VW this said.
No, there was a pickup. There was a pickup that I saw here.
The ministry gave a pickup.
Car, yes.
You are the ministry.
Yes. She was even looking for another one.
Car,
pickup.
So that was the former Deputy Minister, Honorable Marco Kwekumante, sharing with us that contrary to Madam Juliet Asante's claims that she wasn't given a car, she had to work from her home and all, she was actually given a car in 2021. I'm still keeping my tabs on Madam Juliet Asante's socials. In fact, I sent her a proposal to have a sit down with me so we explore the issues proper. I'm yet to get a response from her, but definitely I'm going to keep my tabs on her. If she posts anything, if she brews anything on the social media, definitely I will be serving you that tea, baby. Anyway, I have another update. I'd like to call this one very unfortunate about Jocelyn Duma, beautiful Jocelyn Duma. Remember last week I shared news about her purported appointment as Deputy Diaspora Affairs Director. And apparently it turns out that, the fake is news, or the news is fake. Because, I mean, obviously, like I said, we were all expecting that for somebody who had been appointed, and several blogs, several websites were posting stories about her appointment. But she was like unbothered. She would not post about it. She would not even thank the president like we've seen a lot of the appointees do. And that for me raised a lot of questions. Plus, some people, some media people or broadcasters, notable amongst them is Bridget Otu, tagged the news as fake. So that for me also raised a lot of eyebrows. It raised a lot of suspicions for me. And so I kept my tabs on her. Well, turns out that it's fake. It's not true. She hasn't been appointed. And that has been communicated by the Minister of State in charge of communications at the presidency, Mr. Felix Ofosu-Kwakye. He had an interview with myjoyonline.com and set the record straight. And so it's unfortunate. I mean, I would have loved to see her in that position. I know a lot of people had been throwing around some names, talking about the fact that they think the likes of Denta should be given that opportunity, which I agree. I'm with you on that. Given her track record, she really fits that position. But I'm also a firm believer of, giving opportunities to people, let them prove themselves, let them, challenge themselves and deliver. If they do not deliver, then you yank them off. But it's imperative we give people opportunities. And Jocelyn is a fine brain and a fine face. But anyway, what do I know? I don't know much, I guess. But all the best to her. She's a fantastic actress, fantastic producer. And I think, there's several opportunities that may come her way. You never know. So, yeah, that's the update on Jocelyn Duma. Now let's switch to a story that I would have done last week, but I looked at it and I'm like, you know what, this is not news. The issue about, cosmetic augmentation or surgery or whatever, it has become very normal nowadays. Gone were the days where, you see somebody's, waistline is big. The next moment you see that the waistline is snatching and like, hey, which miracle water did you drink? It was novel to us. It was new to us. But nowadays, cosmetic surgeries and what have you is very normal. It's like the air we breathe. I'm talking about gospel musician Empress Gifty. I mean, if you know her, if you've studied her, if you have followed her journey, you would agree with me when I say that she's one of the non-conformist gospel musicians, okay? She does not subscribe to the, because I'm singing music, gospel music, I have to, live a life that is so sanctimonious or whatever. She does not subscribe to that. She lives her life as authentic as she deems fit, right? So last week, she fixed some
what do I even call this? There's a particular name for this, but let me just scrap that and just say she fixed veneers. If you don't know what a veneer is, kindly Google, okay? But to summarize what it is, it's definitely you telling yourself that, oh, I don't like the color of my teeth. Maybe it's so dark brown. Maybe you're a smoker, and so you smoked so much, it has tainted your teeth, made it too dark brown. I can literally see your teeth without your mouth open. And so you decide, I need to change the housing of my teeth. And so she did that. You know what? I don't want to talk too much. Let's look at her. Let's look at her before, and then we'll look at her teeth, the process. Okay, that's what you're seeing on the screens right now. This was her face before. Very nice face, if you ask me. You know, her cheeks are popping. You know, I have similar cheeks, and so yeah, that's one of the things we share in common. I think I don't see anything wrong with her teeth here, but hey, he who wears it feels it, right? So now let's take a look at her teeth process, okay? How she went about changing the housing of her teeth. And this week she communicated that she actually spent $1,200 on those veneers. And I was like, oh wow, veneers has gotten relatively cheap now, because I mean, back in the day, like 2 or 3 years ago, veneers were as high as $12,000, $10,000 US. They were very, very expensive. And so for it to come down to $1,200, I'm like, I was really surprised. But anyway, let's take a look, director, at, okay, great. So that's the video I'm talking about. That's the video I'm talking about. So you could see the before. I mean, now that I am looking at it in the context of her changing her teeth, I can agree that, yeah, it was a little bit dark brown. But initially, I mean, her teeth was awesome, just like mine. Very well dentitioned, if you ask me, or placed by God. But anyway, so that was the process she went through to beautiful smile. Oh my goodness, beautiful. That's right. Show them that you spent $1,200. That's right. Look at the difference. Very clear. Very, very, very clear. All right. So she spent $1,200 on that, and it didn't end there. She goes on to now pump some fillers in her lips and her face. I guess to make her face appear a bit more structured. She wanted her cheekbone out. She wanted her lips to be more plump. And you know what's funny? When I was a little girl, I used to be bullied that I had plump lips. People used to call me, because I am Yali, my surname is Yali, people used to call me Wale, no shade though, no shade. They thought that Wale had, you know, a plump lip, and so I shared similar features with him. And so they used to call me Noah like Karen Wale. But anyway, that's her. Beautiful face. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with this. That's how she feels. She feels she has to do this to feel more confident, more beautiful, or whatever it is. That's absolutely her prerogative. But yeah, I thought of sharing it with you because a lot of people have been talking about it. They're talking about the fact that why would a gospel musician, you're supposed to, you know, live an exemplary life, and you're here joining us on the streets to give pressure to who or whoever who's feeling the pressure. Well, my director was saying something, but I missed that. But anyway, let's now talk about Sarkodie. Okay, somebody says when you're in Rome, do what the Romans do. Please, now it's a global village. When we go to Rome, we would still be Africans. We would do what we want to do, please. You can't tell us anything. Anyway, let's talk about Sarkodie. And I have an update on him because you remember that in 2023, Yuva Nelson released a memoir. And in that memoir, she, you know, dropped a bombshell, talked about the fact that she once upon a time dated Sarkodie. And then the relationship was so serious, they actually shared or almost shared a child. Okay, she got pregnant, but Sarkodie did not take responsibility for that pregnancy, and so she had to abort it. And it was like a huge scandal, very, very huge. Okay, it had Sarkodie reply her in a song. A lot of people tag that song as very crass, very ungentlemanlike, very, really, you pa, you know. It was a huge scandal, basically. And I know that he has never talked about this until this week, where he granted audience to Angela Yee on her podcast in America, where for the first time he talked about how his wife, Tracy Success, because when that news broke, a lot of people were saying, oh, how would Tracy feel? And if you don't know Tracy, that's her. That's her on the screens, beautiful lady. And so a lot of people were like, oh, how would she take it? How would she take it? Well, in Sarkodie's own words.
About all this, and did she know in advance, or did she find out with everybody else?
To be honest, I really still don't want to like speak about that, but I think she handled it the way that I didn't think she was going to be able to handle it. You know, she was cool about it. She cared more about how I was feeling, which was
that's great. Right.
You know, she was like if I was good because I was on tour, so that was her worry about how I was feeling.
Because she knows it's out of character too. It's not like you just be firing off on people.
Yeah, she knows that it takes a lot for me to speak. Because to be very honest, the reason why I don't speak, which might sound a certain type of way, but I feel like nobody's really worth my response, which has always been my stance. Because
okay, a virtuous wife, why Nempe? We're so proud of Tracy's success. Some of us, it's okay, but yeah. We're going to take a cue from Tracy Success's book and do better when our husbands bring home a scandal. Hallelujah. Hey, the men here are quiet. Why? What is happening? Hallelujah. Anyway, my last story is, listen, I'm so excited about this, and I'm happy I'm ending on a high note, because High Life legend, ooh, did you see that? I rhymed. High Life legend Daddy Lumba has earned royal recognition, okay, because his 2008 hit in Pim Pim Dummy has been featured on King Charles III, okay, UK monarch. He curated a special Commonwealth playlist to commemorate the day, and you know, as part of that list, number 3 on that list actually was Daddy Lumba. And I could not believe it. Like, how is this king listening to Daddy Lumba? And it's the choice of, so in Pimpin, Ekutia, Ghana man, Ekutia and the Brofu doing the same. Do I know? Do we know? Nobody knows? Okay, I guess we're very Ghanaian. Anyway, so let's see the playlist. Okay, you can see it on your screens. That's awesome. And for those of you who do not know the song I'm talking about, director, I know my time is up, but let's give them a sneak peek. Just a little bit. 10 seconds.
Some pimp, a time me out, pimp, treat me home, pimp, time me out,
pimp, time me home. That's it for E-Corner right here on Joy News. I'm Noella Kariniali. Up next is Mami Thompson with Joy News Text. Mwah. See you next week.